Providing totally outrageous customer service.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
a Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 102.5. The Game streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live today. The Hillside Medical Game Studios, 102.5 The Game is broadcasting live from Bridgestone Arena, presented by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at GoHermitage.com. How impressive was it, Caroline Fenton, that I could literally see that all the way over there?
That is pretty impressive.
I know.
Someone's been eating their carrots, been working on their vision.
I guess, for whatever reason. I guess I'm a little bit redder than you today, but that's okay, which I guess I'll figure out at some point here. But today is Pecorine Day
Nothing can ruin Pekka Day.
here at Bridgestone Arena. Well, them getting their rear end spanked tonight might ruin Pekka Day, so hopefully they'll go out there and win for Pekka. But it is Pecorine Day. And you know what I was thinking about today?
What?
Like, it's easy, like, when somebody is like getting announced for like something important, like it is harder, I think, to I think it's like hard to talk about it on the radio, because what is there to talk about other than he was a great man and it's great that they're putting Johnny in there and way to go this, way to go that. But like that doesn't really move the needle on radio, right? Like radio is kind of more, radio's more kind of, how do I say this? Tea-ish.
Tea.
More
Yeah,
tea-ish.
we're gossipy.
Yeah, no, like today, Joe was talking about Belmont basketball, and as much as I like Belmont, big game tonight against Murray State, he was like, all you ever do is talk about Aaron Rodgers, and I was like, yes.
Because it's Aaron freaking Rodgers.
So I want to start on some tea. Did you see the tea last night?
I saw the tea.
So I saw that. I didn't see this till this morning, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, goody. So, Philip Forsberg, according to some guy I have never heard of out of St. Louis. Do we know who this is, Miss St. Louis?
He covers Bally Sports Midwest. Like, that's his thing. He covers the Blues for Bally Sports Midwest.
Okay, who does he compare to around here?
Like a Vingan, but not like the Athletic. Like a Hal, I guess, but he doesn't call games.
So like Lindsay?
Like Lindsay.
Okay, so Andy Strickland, and I heard on the morning show today, Robbie said he is a trustworthy person.
Yes.
So, of whatever you want with that.
Know.
Could not give two poops. This guy does not even have to have a blue check mark, and I will talk about this. Quote, hearing the Preds are actively shopping superstar Philip Forsberg. And I saw it, and I thought, oh, goody, yes. And I love this rumor for one of two reasons. Now, here's what I want to know. I want to know who this guy's source is. That's always the first question. Anytime somebody breaks a little bit of something or another, you don't know what it is, and you're trying to figure out if it's true or not. You're trying to figure out, okay, who is this guy, and who does he know who would tell him? That's the question I always ask myself. I don't think enough people do this, by the way. Like, they hear a report, and it's like, oh, well, they said that such and such is on the block. Well, who's reporting it? Is it coming from the agent? Is it coming from the team? Is it coming from another team? Where's it coming from? That's the question you always have to ask yourself this. How does some random guy in St. Louis end up with this kind of scoop? Well, I'm going to guess it's not coming from the agent. Because if it's coming from the agent, then wouldn't that lead us to believe that it would have gone to Elliot Friedman or Pierre Lebrun or, one of those kind of people? And it didn't. So let's take the agent out of it, even though I don't know his agent, but let's take his agent out of it. I think he's like a pretty well-known hockey agent. So he's going to some dude up in Canada. He ain't going to freaking guy in St. Louis. So then there's Poyle. how does Poyle know Andy Strickland in St. Louis?
Unless,
I'm going to guess he's probably not.
probably not, no.
So this means that this is coming from somebody else. Now, the natural assumption would be that it's coming from somebody at St. Louis. But who trades high-end players inside their division?
See, that's where I was going, unless he got the information from someone inside St. Louis. But it's not just Bally Sports St. Louis. It's Bally Sports Midwest. So
Is there another team that it covers?
I don't know. I don't have Bally Sports Midwest, but probably. I mean, there's multiple. I mean, probably the Blackhawks.
I don't know.
I'm sure that falls
they're
underneath Bally Sports.
They're NBC Sports Chicago. This is my, like, Bally Sports Midwest is essentially Bally Sports St. Louis. Like Bally Sports Tennessee is pretty much Bally Sports Nashville and the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that it's only St. Louis, which means that then it's probably Poyle talking to another general manager who then told St. Louis, and St. Louis told this guy. That's probably where it came from. Now, that makes me think it's real. Because, again, trying to figure out the source. I can make an easy comparison, right? Like, I think you and I would agree that as far as the Titans and the Predators are concerned, the Titans and Predators aren't coming to vomit information to me specifically, but that I probably converse enough with the people. I think you would agree. I have access to the people that make those decisions. So if I say, hey, this is what I'm hearing, there's a pretty good chance that it's probably true, right?
Yes.
Okay. This guy probably has the same access in St. Louis that I have. And what would St. Louis care about telling this guy anything? I mean, it doesn't matter with the Predators.
Mm-hmm.
So Poyle probably is actively shopping him. Poyle probably called Calgary or probably called Toronto or probably called, one of these teams. I don't care, whomever. Poyle called one of these teams, and these teams are probably talking around. And then what did I tell you? Once you pick up that phone and you say, hey, I'd like to trade Ryan Tannehill, immediately somebody's getting a hold of it because somebody's telling somebody that they called me about Ryan Tannehill. And I think that's what's happening here. If it were a Pierre LeBrun or if it were a Elliot Friedman or if it were one of these people that has pretty good access to the Predators, then you could say, okay, this is probably coming from either the agent or Poyle. This feels like it's coming from a third source, which makes it almost even more likely that it is true that the Predators are talking to teams about Forsberg and not just trying to do this as an anteing chip. And I like it. And here's why I like it. Now, Robbie said today, did you hear what Robbie's report was?
I don't know.
The tweet was so confusing. I had to analyze it like it was an Aaron Rodgers interview. And it was, Robbie said that he had heard that Philip Forsberg hadn't requested, that Philip Forsberg had not told the Predators that he didn't want to be here, was the report.
Okay.
So basically, Forsberg hasn't requested a trade, is basically what Robbie was putting out there.
That feels like a lot of grammar gymnastics right there.
Now, I hope this is all true. I hope the Predators are actively shopping Philip Forsberg. I hope the Predators are going to actively trade Philip Forsberg. And I will tell you why I like this. Because it is about time that they smelled the coffee on what their team is. They've got a solid team. Solid. They're not great. They're not terrible. They're solid. And solid is what will get you to the first round of the playoffs. And if your goaltender plays well or somebody gets hot, maybe it gets you to the second round of the playoffs. But it is not going to get you any further than that. For everybody out there that wants to talk about 2017, and there will be a lot of 2017 talk today because it's Pekka Rinne's day. But for everybody out there that wants to tell you about 2017, Floyd said it best one time when he said, I'm convinced that is a once-in-a-lifetime thing that will never happen again where you get game-winning goals from guys like Cody McLeod and Pontus Aberg and Colin Wilson and everybody else that you needed to play well on your magical run to the Cup final, and he's right. When Washington won it a year later, it was because they have guys like Ovechkin. That's why they won. And so, like I said, I believe that it is time for the Nashville Predators to smell the coffee about what they are. And I've been saying this for years now about these guys. They're all good number twos. Forsberg is a number two, but he's not a number one. And he's playing really, really well because it's a contract year. And so then he's trying to convince a lot of you that he's playing like a number one, but the Predators know better. Remember Adam Vingan put it out around Thanksgiving? Hey, trade Philip Forsberg. Then 3 weeks later, I've changed my mind. And I hate it because I feel like a lot of the times around here, that's how people operate. And it looks like if this is true that the Predators are shopping Forsberg, which again, I hope they are, it's telling me that the Predators, unlike the local media here, they're not getting carried away with this great performance. That they are smelling the coffee and saying, okay, he wants a lot of freaking money for a lot of years, and he probably wants some kind of no trade protection. He wants the things that we're not willing to give him. And then it's like, well, he's playing well, so does that kind of change your mind a little bit? If it's Adam Vingan, the answer is yes. I don't want to put I don't want to put words in Joe Rexroth's mouth, but I'm going to. He probably thinks yes too. But for me, that doesn't change my mind. I know what he is. I've watched him for the last 6 years. They know what he is. They've watched him for the last 6 years. So what they're doing is they're going to use his hot streak in their favor, which would be to trade him, which would be to say, to convince everybody, especially north of the border, to convince them, hey, you are a Philip Forsberg away from being as dangerous offensively as Tampa Bay and being as dangerous offensively as those guys in Florida. You are a Philip Forsberg away from that. Give me your best prospect. Give me another prospect. Give me your first this year. Give me your first protected for a high pick next year. And you've got Philip Forsberg. And if you re-sign him, you have to give me your second next year too. That would be what I would do. And I'd start high. I mean, I'd ask high. And that's why you start calling now, because it's like, well, the deadline's not for another month. Right. So you start calling now. But I love this because Forsberg is never going to be a number one. He's a number two. And while the second you lose him, you are a worse hockey team that day. 2 picks, 2 prospects, a fifth asset. If he re-signs with the other club, there's a chance one of those guys becomes a superstar. And there's no way to put, okay, what % chance is it that that guy's a superstar? Because everybody wants that number. Everybody wants to know that answer. There is no answer there. There's no way to tell you that. What I can tell you is that one time the Dallas Cowboys traded away Herschel Walker, and they got a bunch of picks in return. And they took Russell Maryland, and they took Darren Woodson, and they took Emmitt Smith, and they took a lot of players that allowed them to go on their runs for Super Bowls. How'd you get Philip Forsberg? You traded away a guy named Martin Erat, who was a good player but was never as good as Forsberg is. So that's what you got to do again. So I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's get your reaction. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. Now, I'm not convinced they're going to trade him, but I do think it's true that they are actively shopping him. I buy it because of where the source was. And if it is true, oh, I love the idea that the Predators have smelled the coffee and said, you know what, we're a good team, but we're not going to just keep re-signing the same guys over and over again and be a great team. And I love it. Oh, goodness gracious. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll get your thoughts and your reaction on it. Do you want the Predators to trade Forsberg? I think that's a pretty good way to start the show. Good question for the callers and the texters at 615-737-1025. We'll get Caroline's reaction. Plus, Philip Forsberg has earned something with this organization. Has he earned the loyalty to not be traded? We'll touch on that as well. Ian, do I have to tell anybody about anything about the fine folks out there? I love talking about Hiller. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. They're proud supporters of the National Predators, and you will see that Happy Hiller logo right there on the ice today. Of course, they're proud supporters not just of the Predators, but also of the Tennessee Volunteers and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Now, what I want to tell you about Hiller that's pretty important is the fact that last year they saw the inventory shortages and everything that were coming up, and we all knew that, oh, this might not be great. And the prices are through the roof, and not to get all political, but they're only getting higher right now. And that's why for the rest of this month, if you've got to make replacements, Hiller's going to give you the best 2021 pricing through the month, and that is it. This will be the lowest pricing expected all year. You know the inventory shortages and empty shelves, and now there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are extremely limited this year, and because of supply issues and rising costs of parts, manufacturers are rapidly increasing the price of this equipment. So if you need a replacement, call Hiller today. Do not wait until you're out of options. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be Your Services free guarantee, and you can learn more at happyhiller.com.
Here they come, turn 4, final lap.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Join me for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8, and you can hear some of the big names in racing, like Denny Hamlin.
I always like to undersell and over-deliver.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
It would be amazing to watch a Cup race compete there again.
Kevin Harvick.
I think we learned a lot.
And several others. It's Chasing Checkers every Sunday at 8 on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The 2022 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is back in Nashville as Bridgestone Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC's Women's Hoops March 2nd through the 6th. Join us and experience the bright lights of the Music City as we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now, so contact your university ticket office or head to secsports.com. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Creation CBD. You hear me talk about them every single day because they present Darren, Donick, and Chase, and we are proud to be associated with them and happy about it. And if you have aches and pains, on your body, whether it's from working out, being active, getting older, and you're looking for a solution, well, I've got it. Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says a lot. Creation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here in Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Creation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use, including your pets. And you've heard me tell this story. Our female German Shepherd has had seizures for over 3 years, and lots of them. No matter how many pills a day she was on, the vet visits, nothing changed. But since putting her on the pet tincture, everything has changed. The seizures have stopped, she's lost weight, and she's a dog again. Right now, Creation CBD has got a special offer for DDC listeners. Go to CreationCompany.com, get 25% off your order by using the code DDC25 at checkout. DDC25 at checkout for 25% off your Creation CBD products. It's Creation CBD, curated for life.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Invite you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. I started my first business in the basement of a factory over 30 years ago. We had no heat and no air conditioning. Instead of customers, our office visitors were rats, birds, flies, and snakes. Our office flooded often, and we used blankets as our office walls. We were broke and needed help. That's why I created Patriot Software, to help small business owners with simple payroll for 1 to 100 employees. And if you need help, we will help you for free. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone, America's #1 brakes destination. Right now, you can do the complete job and get a great deal when you buy a set of Duralast brake pads and rotors. It's also AutoZone's national hiring event. We're hiring all positions, from sales to warehouse and drivers, both part-time and full-time. Visit careers.autozone.com or any one of our stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Now, I can tell you that according to one of my sources, Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators that he doesn't want to stay. I can tell you that Philip Forsberg has not told the Predators, hey, I don't want to be here. I can tell you that. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're just automatically going to come to a deal? No. I mean, the business part of this has to work out. But, we've talked about this before. If Forsberg ever told them that, I would have been really surprised. And according to my source, Forsberg has not told them that he did not want to stay as a Nashville Predator, which honestly, Joe, it kind of makes this even weirder to me, because if he's not told you that, why would you be actively shopping him a month before the deadline?
Ooh, Robbie, he's got sources. I mean,
love a good source.
Again, if you are just joining us on Stillman and Company today, Andy Strickland, who we are told is credible, 51,000 followers. I mean, that's a lot of followers.
He's been covering the Blues for a while.
So he said that the Predators are actively shopping Philip Forsberg. Robbie saying, again, that that Forsberg has not told them that he doesn't want to be here.
Has not told them that he doesn't want to be here. So he hasn't said that he – okay, got it.
So he hasn't requested a trade,
basically.
Yes. Okay. So, and you heard Robbie that was like, and I'd be surprised with this being a month to the deadline. I think it's real. Because you know that Robbie's sources. I mean, it may not be Poyle directly, but it's not far from him.
I mean,
would
Robbie's
have to
got
assume.
Predator sources.
Yeah, like we know where Robbie's sources lie. Like we know that Robbie's not talking to, the general manager of the Calgary Flames and walking away with that. I mean, like we know that that's coming, and we know it's not Forsberg. So we know that it's a team source. So make of it what you will. I hope this is true. I think it's true. Just trying to follow the trail. I hope it is true. I hope it does happen. Do you think they should trade Philip Forsberg?
It's tough because you have to ask the question, can the Predators win a Stanley Cup without Philip Forsberg?
Yes.
Right now. Can they win one with him?
Well,
this year, right now, this year.
Let me ask you the question. Well, no, but again, can they? Do you think they can win one right now with him this year?
No.
Do you think they can win one without him this year?
No.
So it doesn't change anything.
It doesn't. But the question is, can you win one with him right now? No. So, are you willing to pay him top dollar? Are you willing to, sign this? It's probably, 8 years? If they were to sign him to the contract that he probably wants, I would expect 8x8, 8-year contract for $8 million.
Oh, no, it's going to be way more than that.
Like $10 million?
I heard Elliot Friedman say today that they want somewhere between Joe Hansen, who's 8, and Yossi, who's 9.5.
Oh, my gosh.
8.5, not that much more than 8, but.
Well, it's enough to me. I mean, maybe.
But, I mean, if the Predators believe that they can.
But he's probably asking for more than Yossi right now. I mean, again, what you ask for.
He's probably asking for more, but probably won't get more.
Right.
But it's, do the Predators think that they can win a cup with him? Do they think they can win one without him? And if they think that they can win a cup with him, then they are probably going to do whatever it takes to keep him. But if they don't think that they can win a cup with or without him, then why would you sign him to that much money for that long? He's not old and he's not young. What is he, 27 years old? So an 8-year contract doesn't scare you necessarily, but that's committing to Philip Forsberg for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
What can you get in return for him? Is it worth it? And I don't know what a comparable trade would be. I would say probably like a first-round pick and a prospect.
No. Because Toffoli last year, and Ian will go. I had Ian today go through a list of comparable trades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ian, do you have that list? I mean, we might as well just do that now.
I mean, I have a few, yeah.
Okay, so give me like what you think a comparable trade over the last couple of years for a player like Forsberg would be.
It's tricky because he will be a strict UFA. A lot of these guys, have some term left on their contract. If it's going to be a pure rental, you're looking at Nick Felino last year. Toronto was a UFA rental, did not re-sign with Boston, did not re-sign with Toronto, and signed with Boston this offseason. He got a first and 2 fourths for Nick Felino.
Okay.
And is Felino a better player than Forsberg?
No.
Okay.
Forsberg is more offensively skilled. Kyle Palmieri and another player, Zajac, thrown in, which would be maybe like a Nick Cousins type. So it would be like a Forsberg and a Cousins. And Palmieri was a UFA after the season. I think he actually re-signed with the Islanders. But they got prospects, a first round, and a 4th round. I think the most comparable might be the Mark Stone trade.
Oh, I want this. Wasn't that 2 prospects and 2
It was
firsts?
a player who was an okay prospect, a top prospect 15th overall pick and a second-round pick.
Ooh.
And he signed, but he was a UFA, so about the same age, but he signed a new deal with Vegas. So if he's going to be a true UFA, which Forsberg will be, and if it's just going to be a rental, it will lower the price. If you want to get a higher return, you're going to have to somehow figure out a way for them to keep Forsberg longer term.
So, and that would be why you would do it now. Like why you would be shopping him now.
If it gives them longer term to come
because
a deal.
then the agent can negotiate with the trading team, a la what happened here when they acquired Kyle Turris, which was the Predators have traded, Sam Girard and Kamenev and a second-round pick, and they got Kyle Turris, and they've signed Kyle Turris to a 6-year, $36 million extension, which, by the way, happened to be one of the biggest I think it's honestly the worst trade in Predators history. And so but that's how you do it. So that's why you would shop it early, probably.
And Anthony Mantha was a pretty big trade from Washington, picked him up from Detroit, but he was still a younger player, pretty good numbers, was under contract for 3 more seasons at a pretty good price. He got a first, a second, and 2 players. One of those players was pretty good. So the contract and the terms, I think a lot of teams are shading away from strictly rentals as they used to.
Because
the return
history,
hasn't been great.
Yeah, the history will tell you that adding a rental does not put you over the top one way or another.
Even the Preds, when they got Hartman for a first-round pick.
Don't remind me.
But he wasn't a strict rental. He returned.
That was like a Julio Jones before Julio Jones. The Predators were flying high, best team in the league, just been to the Cup final. They trade a first-round pick for Ryan Hartman. Everybody, all the people that are, employed by the team, oh, great trade, great trade, great trade. And I was like, that day, I crapped on that. And so, this was where it was, very unpopular to crap on anything the Predators were doing because all they were doing was winning.
Right.
And I was like, no, not a first-round pick for that guy. He sucks. And I'm telling you, I got it so bad. Oh, man, did I get it. And then I was right, just like Julio, too. So same old, same old, same old.
So you're looking at probably a first.
You're probably looking at a first,
another
a player,
high pick. Or a couple lower round picks.
I like the idea.
A player or 2.
I like the idea of throwing somebody else in there in a deal to make it even better.
I like that.
And I who I'd throw in there? Fabro.
Interesting.
Now again, somebody's got to have the cap space, and they've got to have they've got to want Fabro, and they've got to want to pay dearly for that. But oh God, because I don't think Fabro's getting any better than he is right now. I think he is as good as he is. The end. Let's get your thoughts on it. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Ian, good job on those comps. 615-737-1025. We'll all make our official, even though I've already said yes, we'll all make our official decree of whether or not they should trade Forsberg, and if we like these rumors, we'll do that next. Then we'll get to your phones. Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, we are live at Bridgestone Arena today where the Predators are taking on the Dallas Stars, but more importantly, Pekka Rinne is getting his jersey retired tonight. By the way, I've got an interesting thought on that I'll get to later today as well. Stillman & Company, it's ESPN 1025 The Game, and as always, we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino walks it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is a flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025 The Game.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, and BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, welcomes you with a special offer on the NHL, an official sports betting partner of BetMGM. Simply place a $10 moneyline wager on any game, and if either team scores a goal, you're going to win $200 in free bets, regardless of your bet's outcome. Just use the bonus code 1025GAME200 when you make your first bet. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts nationwide. Just download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use the bonus code 1025GAME200 to win $200 in free bets if a goal is scored in the game you wager on. Visit BetMGM.com for full list of terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Golfers, tee it up this year at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway. Featuring the new Rogue ST drivers, Callaway's most stable driver ever, with tungsten speed cartridge, jailbreak speed frame, and AI flash face. Engineered for max speed and forgiveness. 4 different models to fit every golfer's needs. Think speed? Go Rogue. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit for the new Rogue ST drivers today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Do you want the best for your car? Then fill up with Premium at Circle K. Circle K Premium is our best fuel with double the cleaning detergent, protecting your engine from corrosion and damage so it can work at its best. And that, my friend, increases your mileage for more cha-ching in your pocket. Plus, when you fill up with Premium at Circle K, you can save up to 20 cents per gallon. Offer valid Thursdays or Fridays at participating stores. For details, visit CircleK.com. Circle K. How convenient.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is John Hines, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Basically, whenever something gets put out like that, you always go out there and say, okay, what information do I know? And what I think is this. I think the Predators are trying to sign Philip Forsberg. I think the sweet spot is between $8 and $9 million for them. I think the Predators know it has to be above Ryan Johansson, but I think the Predators have also made it clear it won't be above Roman Josi. I'm sure that Forsberg and his representatives are trying to hit as big a home run as they possibly can.
Well, that is their job, so I wouldn't disagree with that. Elliot Friedman on with Darren Donick and Chase today. And, I mean, look, I just don't think Forsberg's that good. I think he's good. I think there's a difference. There's good, and then there's that good. And I just don't think he's that good.
You know what I want to know?
What's that?
What does shopping mean? Does that mean that David Poile is just kind of getting a feel for the market, looking to see, okay, what could I get in return for Philip Forsberg, who is interested? Or is he actively reaching out to other general managers and looking to put a deal on the table right now? Because shopping to me feels like it's a very large spectrum.
Sure. And plus, what's this guy know? So this guy only knows, the guy from St. Louis that reported this, he only knows what somebody told him.
Right. And if they said shopping,
that's all he's got.
That's what you report, and that's fine.
That's what he's got.
But what does that mean?
No, I mean, this is what happened. Somebody told him, somebody in St. Louis, David Poile is not going to a guy who works for the TV channel of the Blues to say, hey, I'd like you to leak this information. You know what I mean? If David Poile's trying to leak, he's going to somebody else.
Right.
So Poile called about this. The discussion was had. Somebody told the Blues. The Blues said, hey, you'll never get this. Nashville's been asking around about Forsberg. And then it's like, oh, can I put it out there? Yeah, sure, whatever. Guy puts it out there. So that's what makes me think that it's actually true. So Friedman hears this, and he thinks that the Predators are trying to send a shot to Forsberg that is, hey, if you do this, then, we're going to trade you, that kind of thing. That's not what I really think it is. What I think it is I think the Predators are looking to shop Forsberg because the agent is sitting pretty like he's got all the leverage, so the Predators can go talk to other people and then go ahead and create their own leverage. And I like it. And I like it for a bunch of reasons. So let's kick it around the room. Should they trade Forsberg, yes or no? I vote yes. You?
I lean yes.
Ian?
If it's a good return.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're getting a bag of bucks
they're
for
going to
him,
have to get something legit. Like it's not going to be, I don't know. Like if they're going to trade him, you're going to have to see the return and be like, it was hard to pass that down.
it's going to have to be like when the Boston Bruins traded Phil Kessel and they ended up with true draft picks that became Tyler Seguin and Dougie Hamilton. Like that's what it's going to have to be. But I'm here for it.
But you don't know what those picks turn into.
And see
what
that
those prospects
so
turn into.
there is a great, if you're an ESPN Plus member, there's a great 30 for 30 short called The Great Trade Robbery, which is the story of how Jimmy Johnson traded Herschel Walker and got all those picks from the Vikings.
Right.
And it is a wild story. And it's like 20 minutes. I would tell everybody to go watch it. And what's incredible about it is Jimmy's talking about how Minnesota made it look like they were trading a bunch of regular roster players like Rashawn Evans is part of a deal with a future first-round pick for Herschel Walker. But the stipulations of the trade were, if I cut the Rashawn Evans, then I get first and second-round picks. So Jimmy ended up cutting all those players, and he got all first and second-round picks from Minnesota. And Jimmy goes, and the most important part was that we picked the right players with these picks. So it's like they got Russell Maryland, they got Emmitt Smith, they got... Like, if you make a trade, Cleveland made a similar trade. The Titans traded out of the first pick in 16, and Cleveland made a similar pick with trade with Philadelphia to trade out of the second pick. Cleveland didn't get a single good player out of that because they stink at drafting. The Titans got Corey Davis, Jack Conklin, Derrick Henry, and Jonnu Smith. Like, that is what you want. That's what you want, is you want one of these trades where you get, like, a prospect that's a good player that develops into a stud. You want, like, okay, they give you another piece in there that becomes a solid, like, Calle Yarncroke player that's on your team for 6 or 7 years that's a good two-way guy, and then you want one pick that becomes a stud and another pick that becomes, like, a good player. And that's how you dominate a trade. And I hope that that's what happens. Let's go to your phone, 615-737-1025, phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caroline, what do we have?
Austin texts in and says, if a team wants to give us 2 firsts and 2 prospects like you propose, yes, absolutely. And no, he hasn't wanted the right to not be traded. Nobody does. It's a business. I think he meant earned the right to not be traded.
Well, like, you're not going to trade Pekka Rinne. Like last year when he was on the team and they were talking about everybody's on the table except for Yossi, Rinne, and Ellis. And then they took that back and they said Ellis was on the table. And then they took that back and they said nobody was on the table. You know, like, there comes a certain level where you are with an organization where you've earned the right to really not be mistreated. And Shea Weber was right at that line. Like, right at the line of demarcation, which is, you know, we kind of owe it to Shea, but he hadn't crossed that line yet. And had he been on the team for, like, another year, because the year that they traded him was when they went to the Cup final. Let's just say they had kept Shea Weber and they went to the Cup final with Shea Weber. They would not have been able to trade Shea Weber. Like, it would have been like, you can't trade Shea Weber. There's no way. Like, people would have rioted if they had gotten one more year. So that's a long-winded way of saying, like, you can play your way. Brady in New England. Like, when you become, like, a legend of a team, you have to be treated a certain way. It ain't Philip Forsberg.
I mean, he's not a Tom Brady. No.
No.
But that goes back to the fact that I think Titans fans and Preds fans alike fall in love with their players.
Yeah, but that probably happens everywhere, honestly.
Probably so, but I mean, I don't blame a fan for saying, no, we want to hold on to Philip Forsberg, but, like, there's a lot to think about other than just, you know, we like going to games and watching this guy score goals.
When I worked in Louisville, we made a partnership with U of L in which both sides essentially had been lied to about what the partnership meant. So our radio station wasn't told that we had to go to 100% fan talk all the time, and the school was told that it was going to be 100% fan talk all the time. So we had to hire this one guy who was like a total Louisville just honk. Like, it was embarrassing.
Was that it's a great day to be a Louisville Cardinal guy?
Every day.
Good morning, everyone.
So at some point, this is like 2014. So at some point, I make the claim that Nick Saban is like the best coach and, you know, Nick's great and this, that, the other, you know, things that are not really, you know, they're not breaking the foundation.
Right.
And so I made some comment that I think that Nick Saban is a better coach than Bobby Petrino.
I don't think that's an incredibly hot take.
Right. So a caller who was listening to the morning show when I said it calls into this Homer show and says, Jared, I can't believe you'd say that. I'd take Nick Saban over Bobby Petrino any day of the week. Or I'd take Bobby Petrino over Nick Saban any day of the week.
I don't think that's a very smart thing to say.
And so then the Homer host was like, I agree with the caller. What? I'm like, you can't be serious.
What?
I'm like, you cannot be serious.
This is the best college coach of all time.
So this was like an hour or 2 hour program. And I mean, it really became like 2 hours of people calling in about how Bobby Petrino was a better coach than Nick Saban.
What?
Which leads me to my whole point here that, like, yeah, the fans are going to feel a certain way, but you can't listen to the fans.
Yes. Aware.
What else we got in the text line?
Paul texts in and says, no, I don't want him traded. Okay with almost anyone traded except Yossi, Forsberg, and Saros. Preds have a track record of not being able to draft or develop big boy forwards. So by trading him, you're crossing your fingers that one asset you get turns out to be Forsberg, who is currently in his prime.
So, again, the Forsberg thing is this. He's not a big boy forward. So if you're afraid of trading him because you don't think that trading him would yield a big boy forward, then you're just content with not having a big boy forward. The Predators are never going to be bad enough to pick high enough to go get one. I remember when Floyd and I were at my old house, during the COVID shutdowns when they had the draft lottery and how we were like sitting there watching it in live time. The one time the Predators were in the lottery because they lost to Arizona in the bubble. And we're like, oh, my God, if they get this ping pong ball for Lafreniere, yes, yes. And then, of course, New York got it because,
New York gets everything.
Draft lotteries just happen to find their way to New York.
Mm-hmm. L.A.
Yes. So he's not a big boy forward. There's been, 104 Stanley Cups that have been awarded? Philip Forsberg ain't won one of them yet. I'm not saying that means that because the guy never wins one that he can't win one, but I just think Forsberg has a peak. It is what it is right now. You would love to keep him on your team. But I'm not paying him for the next 8 years because he's not going to be this good for the next 8 years.
And to the texture's point, it's very similar to the Tannehill take of we don't want to find another quarterback or we don't want to trade Tannehill because it's been so bad in the past and we're so afraid of what might happen.
Sure.
If the Titans could digress, if we trade Ryan Tannehill, I think it's the same thing. The texter says, there's a history of not being able to draft or develop big boy forwards, and Philip Forsberg is the closest thing that we have. So we're too afraid to move forward without Philip Forsberg in the fear that there won't be something better that comes of it. And I don't think that that's how you can approach free agency or acquisitions in sports, is fear that you might not find anything better.
Yeah.
Because what if you do?
I don't know. I mean, because I think the thing is like Poyle probably thinks that he can go out and find a big boy forward at some point. Like he thinks that he can go out and develop, find a kid and draft him and make him great and all that kind of stuff and whatever. And I would agree with the texter sentiment that I don't think David Poyle can do that. But, I mean, I don't think he thinks that. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't think that, then his opinion probably wouldn't change on it. What else we got?
Jeff texts in and says, in the entirety of their existence, the Predators have never had a forward like Forsberg. If they trade him, they will immediately begin the search for a player to replace him. What will it cost? About the same as what Forsberg wants. Offer him 8 years at $8.25 million.
Here's the crazy thing. And again, the $8.25 million, it doesn't sound like he's going to be interested in taking that. Like when you listen to what Elliot Friedman's saying about the money, and I mean, it sounds like he wants more than Yossi. But I think
they can't give him more than Yossi.
Well, I mean, look, salaries go up.
Aware.
So if you signed Yossi 3 years ago, then guys who sign later, I mean, eventually someone's going to make more money than Yossi because the salaries are going to keep going up. So I get it, but I'm just not interested in it. Like, I just don't think he's that good of a player to do that for that long. And he's going to go back down to what he normally is. And what he normally is not worth 8 years at $8.25. Not worth it. But he's going to want more than that. He's going to want 9. He's going to want 9.5. He's going to want 10. Like, he's going to want a lot of money. And I don't think he's worth it. Back to your phones on it next. 615-737-1025. Plus, there is an interesting football nugget that I don't know if people saw, which I do want to get to, so I will talk about that as well coming up next. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company. Let me look at my little call screen. Nope, don't have anything I got to tell the people about. Right here, it's ESPN 1025 The Game, and as always, you're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will continue to be possible this afternoon, evening, and heading into the overnight hours before we quiet down on Friday morning.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Did you know that every diamond at Genesis Diamonds is over 1 billion years old? That's before dinosaurs, even before some of the stars in the sky. These elusive stones were originally formed miles beneath the Earth's surface, each one born in a volcanic explosion, yet kept hidden for generations. It's a fact that for every 1 carat diamond at Genesis Diamonds, trained miners blasted through over 200 tons of rock, and skilled experts sifted through the rubble to find the highly sought-after rough diamonds. Then expert cutters spend untold hours shaping and polishing each stone, unlocking its beauty and fire and brilliance. From the hands of the craftsman direct to you, these magical stones are your piece of eternity. Precious, rare, unique, indestructible, and treasured all over the world. Oh, and the unbeatable prices at Genesis Diamonds? They're just a bonus. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes. Uncompromising quality, unimaginable value.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution, and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at parmantractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
At Copper Branch, they live life to the fullest. Food is your energy and your life. Located in the heart of downtown Nashville, their goal is to serve you, your friends, and family quality, great-tasting, plant-based power foods. Visit Copper Branch at 601 Church Street for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with convenient and validated parking during library hours, and download their app for curbside pickup. Or come out for songwriter and live music nights several times throughout the week to empower, energize, and feel your best. Visit Copper Branch today.
My leg was painful, red, and swollen just doing the crossword puzzle. I could have put off telling my doctor, but I didn't wait.
He told his doctor and found out his leg pain, swelling, and redness are deep vein thrombosis, a blood clot which could travel to the lungs and lead to a pulmonary embolism, which could cause chest pain or discomfort or difficulty breathing and be deadly. If you have one or more of these symptoms, this is no time to wait. Contact your doctor.
Brought to you by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I don't think Philip Forsberg is getting traded right now. I really don't, unless David Poyle believes he can't sign him, which based on everything I've heard, I don't think that's the case. I think they're in a negotiation. I don't necessarily think they're close right now. I think the Predators know that Forsberg would like to hit the biggest possible home run he can hit. And I think Forsberg and his camp knows that the Predators know the number has to start with at least with an 8 and has to be as close to Yossi as, and might have to be close to Yossi without going over Yossi. Like, that's where we are, I think. And it's just a matter of, can we get there? And, I think the Predators believe that Forsberg wants to stay. You guys know better than I do. I think we still have time here, and I know everybody gets nervous about these kinds of things, but I always believe that deadlines spur action. And if everybody wants to stay the status quo here, it'll happen. But it'll happen. My guess is somewhere between $8.5 and $9 million.
There you go. That was Elliot Friedman on Darren, Donick, and Chase. You can tell which side he's on. He wants him to keep Forsberg. Now here's what I've been told. I want to be like, well, you weren't told that they're shopping him, so what do you know, Elliot?
Yeah, you told him.
Well, that's just because I want them to trade Forsberg. By the way, my real estate agent has texted me and said, keep in mind Forsberg's fiance is an aspiring country singer and absolutely loves Nashville. Don't know if that factors in so much, but it could. So maybe if they know that, then it's like, hey, you don't want to take our offer? Fine, we'll ship you off.
And to Robbie's point, he said that he didn't want to. He never said that he wanted to get traded.
True.
So, he wouldn't want to leave Nashville.
So
would he be willing to take a lower deal?
I have one quick little news nugget to get in there before we get right back to your phones as promised. This is a press release that I just got to my email about 30 minutes ago from the Predators. The Predators announced an exclusive partnership with Nashville-based El Jefe to broadcast 8 of the team's remaining games in the regular season on the radio in Spanish. Predators games on El Jefe, presented by Don Beto, powered by Ethnix Group, will be carried on 96.7, 105.3, and 8:10 a.m. Now,
I'm excited for this.
I have not read through who's calling the games. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. But all I want to know is, as the official radio flagship partner of the Predators, do we still have the rights to air these Spanish calls? Because if this thing, like if one of these 8 games is an overtime game-winning goal, are they going to call it like soccer? Because if they're going to call it like soccer, we're going to come back with that from break, no offense to Pete, than we are from Pete being like, he shoots, he scores, and the Predators take down. I'm sorry. If we're getting like, go, like the soccer ones, we're coming back with that.
100%.
Like we're coming. I mean, like, that was a goal last night. To your phones.
Sometimes on a college football Saturday, when it's just sun up to sundown football all day, and I need a little bit of a switch up, I watch the Spanish broadcast. Los Tigres vienen la pelota. Touchdown, Tigres! It is exhilarating. It is absolutely exhilarating. It just makes it all better.
So you utilize the SAP button on your television.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
I do. I've been hearing that for 30 years, right? Like, Joe Buck. And this broadcast, and we'll get to Joe Buck in a second. This broadcast brought to you in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. And I'm like, I don't even have that. And I think one time I saw it, I pressed it, and it wasn't Spanish. So it's like picture-in-picture.
What was it?
Where they tell you can get 2 screens at once, and then you never can. It's all the same thing. It's too complicated for me. Back to your phone. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Scott has been holding patiently. He's up next here on Forsberg. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Scott.
Yes, you keep Forsberg. By all means, keep him. I mean, I don't doubt that. Number one, I don't think he's actively being shopped. It would have come out from more than one source, one location, if he was, quote-unquote, actively being shopped.
Why?
I mean, it's not like Karashenko or, it's not like some of the
Why would it have to come from more than one person?
Do what?
Why would it have to come from more than one person?
If they were actively talking to multiple teams about trading him, then that would have gotten out in multiple front offices. But
maybe one guy ran his mouth.
This idea that Forsberg is not a quote-unquote, after all your BS about big boy forwards, he's absolutely a big boy forward. He's on pace to shatter our goal-scoring record. I mean,
Scott, when's the last time Philip Forsberg made the All-Star team?
That doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
That's not.
Yes, it does.
Matter.
It absolutely matters.
You only get one per franchise now, and then you have to do this BS. So if not for Yossi and UC, he might have made it this year. But the idea that he's not, I don't know if you've actually watched. He's actually become much more physical. He used to skate around guys or try to split defenders. He's now regularly out-muscling guys. He's now, his hips are way up. I mean, he caved Sebastian Aho's face in the other night. He's actually the definition of a big boy forward, closest thing we ever have. And you always want to trade everybody because you think every third-round pick is going to turn into Yossi, or every first-round pick is going to turn into an all-star.
Yes.
They more than often, most third-round picks never make the league.
Well, here's what I don't do. Here's what I don't do, Scott. And Scott, I appreciate it. Here's what I don't like. Because I understand the idea of I like picks and I like cap space. And then if I think you're a good enough player, I'm willing to spend the money on the picks and the cap space. Think about the Titans. What am I begging them to do?
Trade Tannehill?
Go get a quarterback. Well, Jared, if we get a quarterback, it costs a lot of money and a bunch of draft picks. Yes. Go get a quarterback.
Well, that's what good quarterbacks cost.
Right. And so if you told me that this was a big boy forward, you didn't hear me bitch when Yossi signed for that big contract. You didn't hear a word out of my mouth because Yossi's a good player. But this idea of you want to trade everybody. Yes, because the players on this team are not good enough. And that's what I keep telling you all. This team is good enough to make it to the playoffs. If you want to sit there and say, hey, You got a good goaltender. Last year, Montreal, good example. Team wasn't very good. Great goaltender. And they got hot at the right time, and they ended up in the Cup final. Congratulations. If that's what you care about, then you've got a shot because Saros will give you a shot no matter what. But to me, as far as winning a cup, you don't have a team that is anywhere near what it would take to win the cup. So what do? You have to go out and you have to manufacture guys. You have to figure out ways to get guys on your team that could. And so I believe in picks, and I believe in prospects, and I believe in developing, and I believe in young players, and I believe in cheap. And a lot of the times, if you don't draft the right players, you will lose a lot of games. And that's a risk I'm willing to take, because then when you lose the games, that's when you can go out and get the good players. So I'm willing to do that. But if you just want to make the playoffs every year and then roll the dice there and hope that somehow you can beat some of these good teams and get to a cup final again, even though the greatest player in the history of the franchise who got you to your first cup final is having his jersey retired tonight, that's fine. But, he's not coming back. And he was the reason you got to that cup final. And he's not coming back. And he's the best player you've ever had. So, you can do whatever you want. But, this idea of, the crying over what you have. Chris Sanders last year wanted to franchise tag Corey Davis at $16 million a season.
Oh, my gosh.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like the Harold Landry thing. I like Harold Landry. I want Harold Landry to be on the Titans. But if Harold Landry wants a market deal when he doesn't have the leverage because he's on the franchise tag, then I'm going to trade him to somebody who will give him his deal, and then I'll take the picks, and I'll go get another Harold Landry.
And to the caller's point, just because Philip Forsberg is your premier forward does not mean he is a premier forward. He brought up Vladimir Tarasenko. He said that Philip Forsberg is the definition of a big boy forward. I'm sorry, if you're giving me Vladimir Tarasenko versus Philip Forsberg, all due respect to Philip Forsberg, I'm taking Tarasenko. That does not make Philip Forsberg the definition of a big boy forward.
So Adam Vingan, I don't even know what the package was for Eichel. Ian, do we know what the package Vegas paid for Eichel was? Last year when it started to come up that Eichel was a little dissatisfied in Buffalo, and I started talking about that, Vingan was like, hey, Vingan was like, I'm going to lose my mind if you start talking about whether or not Eichel, I'm going to lose my mind if you start talking about whether or not the Predators are going to trade for Eichel. And I was like, why? Obviously the players that they have aren't good enough, so I think that we should, take a look at that maybe, see if it's something they could do. And obviously Vegas, who always goes for it all the time. And again, salary cap space and picks, and it doesn't matter. Vegas trades all of them. And they're always up there, and they're up there again this year. They went out and got Eichel. And I'm like, why can't the Predators try to go get a Jack Eichel or go get – those are guys that make all-star teams. Forsberg doesn't make all-star teams. So don't sell me like he's a guy who's making all-star teams. TD is in the house. The TD Power Hour is coming up next. So what was a first, second, and a player, Ian?
2 players, yeah. And honestly, one of the players was 17th overall, and Alex Tuck was the other player who's pretty good player for Vegas, top 6. So they gave up a lot.
Cody Glass was like the 4th overall pick or whatever it was. Remember they kept telling us, Cody Glass is going to come in here. He used to be the 4th overall pick. He was 5 years ago. He's the 4th overall pick, so he might be good. Got traded twice and is now in Milwaukee. TD will join us next for the TD Power Hour. What does he think of the free agency situation for the Titans heading into the new league year? That's next. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
If I'm the official, I would send both teams to the locker room and say, this is going to stop.
The voice of the fan.
Our entire team's a mash unit right now.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it, but in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam Vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Need cash for that home improvement or want to finally be credit card debt free? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto can do it for you, whether you have a VA loan or a conventional loan. They're helping local homeowners convert their home equity into cash with zero closing costs. Willie Donick here. Listen, your home value is up. Let Loan Pronto tap that equity and get you the cash you need. Pay off high-interest loans. Start that home remodeling project. Veteran homeowners are really loving this because with a VA loan, you can tap 100% of your home's equity. That's a ton of cash. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They are doing loans with APRs in the 2s. And if you call now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now to see what your options are. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Nissan South. Can you feel that? Love is in the air. Maybe it's love for your significant other. Maybe it's love for Rome, your Bernese mountain dog. Maybe it's just love for chocolate. Wherever that love falls, this is the time to take it all in. But maybe take less of the chocolate in. So now that all the mushy stuff is out of the way, I'm going to tell you what we love. We love to help you. We love helping you find a new car when you need one. We love helping you keep your car running smooth with amazing service. We love partnering with you in the community to make a positive impact. Newton loves to help. We have a great selection of pre-loved vehicles on the lot for you right now. You can shop online and even start working your deal right now from your phone with Newton FastPass. Visit NewtonNissanSouth.com to shop or schedule service today. For the love of chocolate, see website for details.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money. Easy to learn, easy to use, small business software tailored just for you. With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Good morning! Morning!
Robbie and Rex Road mornings from 6 to 10.
It's not bad. Might have to work on that. Not bad. It's a starting point.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Live from Bridgestone Arena. Preds tonight taking on the Dallas Stars. Pekka Rinne's retirement for his jersey. Let me tell the folks out there, by the way, they want you in your seats by 5:45. Ceremony at 6. Puck drop at 7:30. 102.5 The Game's Preds Game Day broadcast brought to you by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. It is the TD Power Hour. TD is with us, Teron Davenport. TD, good to see you. How are you?
Hey, I'm always well, man. No bad days.
So, TD, I want to start with this. As everybody around the NFL awaits the idea of what is Aaron Rodgers going to do, the Green Bay Packers are waiting. Everybody, the Denver Broncos are waiting. And then I think just fans in general are waiting. I think now we're starting to get to the point where the franchise tag window is open. We see teams like the Packers that are kind of redoing contracts and trying to clear up cap space. We know the Titans are a team that right now it's kind of tight with the cap. Teams are looking at their own free agents because they can still sign them as well. When you look at the Titans, before we go to the Combine, before we go to free agency in the new league year, before we have to, tag a guy, not tag a guy, whatever, how do you look at the Titans as currently constructed?
Well, it's currently constructed. They have to make some changes and release some guys and do some restructures in order to get just under the cap, let alone be active in free agency. So that's really what it is right now, is just finding ways to reduce different cap numbers and, like I said, get under that because they're about $5 million over right now.
What do you think? Let's go case by case basis as far as the Titans are concerned. Right now, with guys that they may have to move on from, Jackrabbit Jenkins is one that I think you and I could probably agree on that they'll probably move on from. When you look at their roster, how do you think they'll go about doing that?
Yeah, this is always a tough conversation to have because you never want to say, hey, this guy shouldn't be working anymore. That guy shouldn't be working anymore.
Sure.
It just really comes down to dollars and cents. And when you look at the dollars and cents, the business side of it, a guy like Roger Saffold, who releasing him will save $10.5 million. That's a move that I could see happening. Kendall Lamb that would save them over $3 million by releasing him. And we know that experiment didn't really work as well as they thought it would. And unfortunately, that's a guy that they could move on from. And I think you look at some of the restructures. You look at Taylor Lewan, his is a deal that could probably stand to be reconfigured to get some cap relief. I think Derrick Henry is another one. Zach Cunningham just trying to figure out a way to redo his deal so that $10.5 million cap hit isn't in effect this year as well. So those are some options right there.
Okay, let's go through each guy. Do you think that they'll try to keep Saffold, or do you think that they've made their mind up? This is apparently going to be a deep offensive line draft. Do you think they try to keep Saffold, or do you think that they look at a guy like Brewer or even Dylan Radins and say, okay, we're going to trust this guy to step into the lineup? How do you think they feel about that? And then, of course, there's the Ben Jones situation as well at center. They always talk about how big of a leader he is and how important he is to the operation. He's a free agent. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think Ben Jones will be back. Saffold, I think they're going to move on reluctantly because he's done nothing but right things since he came to the Titans. And that's one of John Robinson's best free agent signings. But again, the dollars and cents side of it don't work out. So Quisenberry, I believe, is a restricted free agent. So that's something else to consider. So you have some guys in the draft. I just got done watching some old linemen the last couple of days, and Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa is a guy that could play guard and tackle, but I could see him coming in and, being the right tackle. They decide to put Radins at guard, but then if they decide to put Radins at tackle, I think you have options as well. You look at Zion Johnson out of Boston College, and there's a guy out of Oklahoma that I really like, man, Marquise Hayes. He's really impressive, and I think he could be a day 3 option to come in and fill in at left guard. So there are some things that they could do, but I think one is gone and one is there. Saffold's gone, and I think Jones is back.
How much money would you be willing to pay Jones? He made $7 million against the cap last year. I don't think the Titans can offer that kind of money, though he is a decent enough player. I wonder, what's the amount of money that would get him to stay and not get him to retire, but also what, doesn't hurt the Titans or isn't too much money against the Titans?
Yeah, see, that's the thing, figuring out where that number will come in at with Ben Jones. And I'll say this, I think he stays and I think they try to keep him, but if it doesn't make sense, there is the draft. And you would hate to have 2 rookies starting, or even a rookie center starting, unless you get like a Tyler Lindenbaum, to come in right away and start. But I think that it's going to be a matter of getting that number right. I think Jones understands that it's not the same as far as the previous contract he signed. So I feel like they'll get a deal done. And don't be surprised if they look at a guy like Cole Strange also out of small Tennessee, Chattanooga.
What do you think about the wide receivers that are headed to the free agent market? Marcus Johnson is an unrestricted free agent. Chester Rogers is an unrestricted free agent. I mean, right now, if you look at wide receiver for the Titans and tight end, because all 3 of those guys are free agents, it's really A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, and Dez Fitzpatrick, and that is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely room for improvement, without a doubt. On the free agent front, I could see Marcus Johnson coming back. This is a situation that, he felt that he found a team that finally believed in him, and he got an opportunity to play. Unfortunately, the injuries played his role. But I think when you look at receiver and tight end, I think they're going to go a heavy draft. And when you look at the tight end position specifically, this team doesn't seem to want to invest a lot of money in the tight end position. And I mean, that could change this year, but I'm just looking at last year with Jonnu Smith. And if they wanted to invest that money, you know, in the tight end position, he would have been the guy I would imagine they would bring back. So that being said, when you look at free agents, you know, I think lower cost guys, you know, Gerald Everett, Hayden Hurst, OJ Howard, those types. You know, Dalton Schultz has I know there's some interest there, but I'm not sure where his price is going to be. You know, that might be out of their range, what they're looking to do. So I look at the lower cost guys with some talent, you know, some upside, and you pair that with the draft. And, you know, I mentioned Jonnu Smith. And if you want a guy that's similar to him, and you're going to see, I'm going to write about him actually before the combine, and you'll see him show out on the testing. And that's Jig Okonkwo out of Maryland. This is a very athletic tight end. I've seen him take handoffs, 40-plus yards for touchdowns, and he's very much like Jonnu Smith. So that's a guy I could see them getting and having him be a contributor and just kind of work into the lineup the way Jonnu Smith did and eventually be a top guy for them.
What do you think about, we talked about Jackrabbit Jenkins. He's probably going to get released. Does that mean that the Titans are going to roll with Caleb Farley? And not that you wouldn't expect him to be ready to start at this point, but it is a lot to ask a guy who didn't practice a ton this year, and then when he was healthy to play, unfortunately hurt something else. It's tough to say, okay, you haven't been healthy in 2 years. Go out there and go get him, you know, put him at corner. But it almost kind of feels like that is what the Titans are going to do. How do you feel about the Farley, Jackrabbit Jenkins situation?
Yeah, that's another one where you would like to have the guy back, but the money just doesn't make sense. And I think they will move on. And by doing that, they're putting a lot of eggs in the Caleb Farley basket. And listen, when he's healthy, man, I love that dude's talent. He's very, very talented when he's healthy. But that's the big thing when he is healthy, and he's had a series of injuries. Hopefully for his sake, at some point, it will be behind him and he could start really showing that potential that he has, that ability. But I think they go draft. I think they draft some corners. And I mean, you have Buster Screen, who I think will be back. Elijah Molden will man the nickel. Christian Fulton, I could see him bumping over to left corner from the right side. And I mean, there's some guys in the draft. Roger McCreary out of Auburn is a guy I really like. You know, you watch his tape. He has plenty of games against some top receivers. And he's someone I could see, you know, coming in and being a contributor as well. So I think they're going to go draft and just kind of roll with Farley and Fulton as well.
What do you think about what they expect out of Radens next year? You brought up the fact that Quessenberry's a restricted free agent. I'm going to make the assumption they cut Saffold. That means new left guard, maybe new center, maybe new right tackle. They drafted Radens to play. I know it was disappointing as a rookie, but ultimately either they're going to pencil him in to start and believe in him, or they really don't.
Yeah, it was disappointing as a rookie until when he got the opportunity to play. I think that's what you have to look at. And when he got the opportunity, he showed that he could do something. Now, granted, there was some help, you know, and you better have that going against Nick Bosa. You know, you want to keep your quarterback alive, so you better have some help. But he still played pretty well, you know. So I think there is a belief that he can be a guy that they could rely on as a starter. Now, whether or not that's at guard or tackle, it remains to be seen. They're kind of keeping it on the hush about that. But we'll really see as we get through free agency and especially the draft. That's when we'll really see where they project him, because, you know, what they draft and given, you know, what happens, whether it's with Quessenberry or Saffold, et cetera, that's going to show us where they picture Radens being.
TD is with us, the TD Power Hour right here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Coming up, you noticed there was one free agent that we didn't ask TD about, one impending free agent. TD, I don't know if you noticed that or not.
I did.
We will get to him. Harold Landry. What do we make of the Landry situation? Because I'll say this. I think the sides are starting to dig in right now on the Landry negotiations. You know, when they were at the Pro Bowl, it was, yeah, we hope to work something out. Yeah, I hope to work something out. Now I think the sides are starting to dig in a little bit. We'll get TD's thoughts on the latest with Harold Landry, what he thinks is going to happen, what he thinks they should do. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company right here. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Thursday at 1 on Darren, Donick, and Chase, we're joined by Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman for the best inside knowledge on the NHL. It's all brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Are you hiring? Then check out Indeed. Schedule virtual interviews and talk to candidates right from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
When you cut lawns for a living, reliability matters. The Kubota commercial lineup, with purpose-built mowers like the Z700 zero-turn, SZ stand-on, and W-Series walk-behind, decrease downtime and increase productivity. A comprehensive fleet program with special discounts and free loaners helps grow your business one perfectly manicured lawn at a time. Visit your local Kubota dealer today.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
President's Day is here, and that means huge savings at Electronic Express. You'll find great deals in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops, tablets, speakers, headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs, in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop the President's Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Attention veterans of Middle Tennessee. Little Guys Movers wants to put your hard-earned skills and leadership talent to work with your very own Little Guys Movers franchise. Be your own boss and build a team with standards as high as your own, and all while serving your community with the same hustle that you served your country. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Start a fulfilling, profitable new chapter of your life as a member of a team with 30-plus years of growth and good times at littleguysfranchise.com. That's littleguysfranchise.com.
In a world where a single touch can threaten the surfaces of your home, there's Microban 24. Just one spray fights bacteria all day.
Bacteria incoming. Shields up, defenders.
When used as directed, Microban 24 sanitizing spray forms a defensive shield that keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch.
Threat eliminated.
Microban 24. Don't just sanitize it, Microban it. Now spraying in a store near you.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
So the combine is about to happen. When the combine happens, that's when the agents will happen to run in to the executives in Indianapolis. You know, agent will be out to dinner, general manager will be out to dinner, they'll be at the bar having a couple of drinks. Next thing you know, they're talking. TD knows exactly what I'm talking about. TD Power Hour, he's with us. So TD, I ask you this. Harold Landry and the Titans. I talked to some people. I get a feeling that, I don't want to say Landry's not happy with the negotiations, but I have a feeling that they're very far apart right now on a new deal. And that if it's going to be the franchise tag, then I don't think Landry likes the idea of playing on the franchise tag. I think that they feel that they're entitled to a market value contract. Titans, as we saw with Derrick Henry, they will leverage that franchise tag to try to get a better deal, but $18 million is a lot to put on the books. What do you make of the current state of the Landry negotiations, and where do you think this is headed?
Yeah, the franchise tag part of it is interesting. That is something that I know is being considered, and that will kind of give them the ability to have exclusive negotiating. So that way, if he hits an open market, you know, it prevents him from doing that, where his price could definitely go up. So Landry, you know, as Buck Reising reported, that he wants to be the highest paid player in that outside linebacker room. And I mean, that's kind of how inflation works. But I just don't know that they're going to be able to match that type of number because there's so much other things that they have to address. So they are a part. I haven't really, gotten too much feedback in regards to where they are, but obviously things aren't going the way that you would like them to, if you're Harold Landry, because you want, again, to avoid that franchise tag and be able to hammer out a long-term deal.
What was interesting to me was in some of my discussions, I got the sense that there's a little bit of a feeling for Harold Landry that he's been loyal to the Titans and he would like that loyalty reciprocated, to which I said, I mean, look, they didn't do it to Derrick Henry. You think they're going to, if they're not going to do it to Derrick Henry, they're going to do it for Harold Landry. At what point, if you're the Titans, if Landry, really truly wants a market value deal, which he's not going to get, I don't think, from the Titans, at what point do you think they start to entertain the idea of either a tag and trade or tag and take the $18 million on the cap? They don't have $18 million to play with on the cap, so that would force them to make some other changes. Where do you think the Titans kind of see these negotiations if Landry truly does want a legitimate market value contract?
Well, you have to prepare for the possibility of not having him back. And I think they started to do that anyway when they drafted Rashad Weaver, right? And I think, he's a guy that they like, and he's coming off injury. Obviously, he didn't play a full season, but you look at that. You look at Derek Roberson, who's a restricted free agent. And then you look at how much homework they're going to have to do on guys in this draft. You look, George Karlaftis, I can never pronounce his name right, but out of Purdue, that's a guy that could be there. David Ajabo, that's another guy that could be there at 26, especially when you look at Jermaine Johnson now. He's just kind of escalated up draft boards. So, there will be some options for them to draft Landry's replacement. Drake Jackson out of USC is another one that comes to mind. So I think they're looking at all of those things, and they have to consider all of those things and be ready just in case that negotiation doesn't go the way they want it to.
So do you think if that were the case, they would tag and trade Landry? Because I don't see them not getting something in return. We've seen Frank Clark was a tag and trade, I believe. Dee Ford, I think, was a tag and trade from Kansas City to San Francisco. I'm not sure if DeForest Buckner was a tag or trade or if he just had 1 year left. But we've seen the tag and trade a lot. I don't think that Green Bay, no matter what happens, is letting Devontae Adams go for nothing. I think that they would tag and trade Adams before anything else. Do you think the Titans would consider a tag and trade for Landry? And if so, do you think there would be a team out there that's willing to pay the price on Landry, both with the contract and with the picks?
I don't think a team will do that, honestly. I mean, who would do that at this point?
On a tag and trade?
And that's what And that's what I mean. If you can't come up with a team that you think would be a candidate, within a pretty quick time frame after asking the question, then that tells you kind of the answer. So it's very unlikely that would happen. Obviously, if they could get another first round pick, or something like that in that tag and trade type of scenario, they would definitely do it.
So the team that comes to mind for me is probably Baltimore, because they could put him in there and it'd be a replacement eventually what they lost in Judon. But I don't know. And that would lead me to the question of, Bud Dupree signed a huge contract. If Landry wants a contract that's bigger than Bud Dupree's, but nobody is willing to trade for him on a tag and trade, then is he really going to get that contract that he wants? Is that going to be out there for the other 31 teams?
Yeah, I mean, the contract that he wants is probably not going to be there, honestly. I mean, you look at the Ravens, like you mentioned them, they have $8 million in cap space right now. So, and they have a bunch of things that they have to do, you know what I mean? So I can't see that one being an option. I don't think the deal's out there, and
Seattle.
There's other options. Seattle as well. Does he fit what they do? I don't know for sure that he fits what they do. So that's something that, they've addressed that position multiple times with draft picks and things like that. So I don't know that that's a fit either.
So there's going to be another taker out there for Landry. The question would then be at what cost, and
Right,
then
exactly.
maybe a team would see like the $18 million because you brought up $8 million with the Ravens, and a Landry on a first year of a long-term deal would probably come in somewhere around like $9 million, $7 to $9 million, $7 to $10 million against the cap, and then it would pop up more in the second, third, and fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger thing for me is someone really like when you think of, okay, who do you love out there on the pass rush market? Take a great pass rusher that's not going to become free, and you would say, yes, I would trade a first-round pick for that guy, and I would pay that guy, like what Indianapolis did for DeForest Buckner. I'm kind of with you. I don't know if there is a team in the NFL that loves Harold Landry that much. In fact, there may not be a team that likes Harold Landry as much as the Titans like Harold Landry. But if he wants a market value contract, I just don't think that the Titans are going to do that, and I don't think they're going to let him walk away for nothing.
Well, and you also have to play it smart too. If you're Harold Landry, look at what you have on that front. You got Jeffrey Simmons, who's only going to get better and better. You're not going to see many double teams because of Simmons alone. But then you look at Bud Dupree on the opposite side. You look at Danico Autry, and you look at the way these guys are able to team up on stunts and games up front. And how many times Landry has been able to have those unblocked sacks. And that's not to take anything away from him because his closing ability has a lot to do with him being able to, finish up the job, right, and actually get the sack on when he's not blocked. So I'm not going to take that away from him. But a lot of that comes from, the guys that he's playing alongside of. So he has to look at that, and I'm sure he will consider that. When you look at the market, I mean, you got Chandler Jones, Von Miller, who else? Hassan Reddick. Those are all guys that are going to be, free agents. So it's not like this is going to be just a single play. Like he's at the top of the list as far as options are concerned for teams.
What do you think they could realistically – do you think a team would give you a fourth-round pick for Landry if you went with a tag and trade?
I mean, obviously it's possible. I mean, I wouldn't say no, but again, I just don't see a team doing that.
So you think that the Titans' options are either to work out a deal, tag him, or straight up let him walk?
Yeah, and I remember if you let him walk, you do get a compensatory pick. Like that factors into the formula for the following season. So he's not leaving just for nothing. I mean, you will get something. Like it'll help your status because they're getting picks this year, because of guys that they lost. So I wouldn't say it's for nothing.
So I actually looked into that. I talked to somebody who would have a little bit of a no on it, and they think that the Titans aren't going to get comp picks on Jonnu Smith or Corey Davis because they signed Bud Dupree and traded for Julio and like the weird way the formula works and all that stuff. So I don't know exactly.
I'm not so sure that trades factor into that.
I was just told that it's about, there's all kinds of formulas or something that told me, somebody told me that they didn't think they would.
I don't believe trades factor into that. In fact, I'm pretty sure they will get picks this year, for things that happened last year, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure that they do get picks rather.
Boy, I just don't think they can let Harold Landry walk, but I also don't think that they can give him a market value contract. So then maybe they make him play on the tag.
if you can't sign him, like you can't force a team to trade for him. You know what I mean? So it's if you can't get that deal hammered out, and you don't want to place the tag on him, you're pretty much stuck. Like that's what you got to do. You got to let him walk.
Would you place the tag on him?
I'm back and forth with that. Honestly, I'm back and forth with it. If I have a belief that I could hammer out, a deal, I would place the tag on him and try to hammer out a long-term deal and adjust things that way. But I wouldn't just outright place the tag on him. At this point right now, I wouldn't do that. Just looking at the things that you have coming up, and I think you really have to consider, Jeffrey Simmons is going to, man, him and A.J. Brown together, like those are two contracts you got to get done. And these are two truly ascending players. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons, you look at that playoff game, I know he got credited for 3 sacks, but he had 4. And if you keep pushing that thing down the line, it's just going to get more and more costly.
TD's with us for the TD Power Hour. Coming up next, the Combine is coming up. What are the early thoughts pre-Combine on the draft? And Daniel Jeremiah has an interesting prospect going to the Titans at 26. We'll get TD's thoughts on that next. Plus your questions for TD, get them in. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company. Caroline wants to tell you about Caesars Sportsbook.
It is time for the Caesars Sportsbook report. Now, if you haven't started betting with Caesars yet, do it now. Not too late. They'll throw you a feast if you do it too. Yep, download the app with code RADIOEAT. That is one word, code RADIOEAT. And when you wager $50 or more total, you'll get a $250 Uber Eats gift card. Now, this morning, I placed a little 3-leg NHL parlay. Give me the Flames at the Canucks on the money line, -160. Give me the Preds on the money line to beat the Stars at home tonight, and the Bruins on the road at the Kraken. So all of that put together and a nice little parlay bow will give you plus 294 odds on the Caesars Sportsbook app. And if you do $50 or more, you can get an Uber Eats gift card as well. So win some money and get an Uber Eats gift card. So it's a win-win there. Must be 21, offer valid in Tennessee. Only new customers with eligible promo code. Only real money wagers, only that have minimum odds of -200, $250 gift card redemption code. And steps to redeem gift card will be sent via email with 72 hours. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem, call or text the Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789. Caesars Sportsbook. Download it, people.
Hi, I'm UC Saros. And this is Smashville.
Now here's a try off to the side. What a stop made by UC Saros there.
Unreal. You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the Intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
It was just so sparkly and just white. It's just the purest diamond.
That's Mallory Irvin, Miss America runner-up and 3-time contestant on The Amazing Race, talking about her ring from Genesis Diamonds.
It's my favorite thing I've ever owned in my life, and probably my favorite thing I ever will own unless I get another ring from Genesis.
Mallory has a stunning GIA certified diamond in a setting that Genesis custom designed just for her.
It was a personalized experience, and they really went above and beyond to make what we wanted to work.
At Genesis, unique rings are our specialty.
What's really awesome about Genesis, I think a lot of girls look at other girls' rings a lot, and you don't want the same ring as the girl sitting beside on an airplane or something. It's really awesome because Genesis has the designers I feel that women want.
Names like Henry Dossi, Viraggio, Tocori, and dozens more.
So you don't get that cookie cutter kind of chain store. My ring is beautiful, but it looks like everyone else's. You get an engagement ring that's one of a kind.
Genesis diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes.
I highly recommend Genesis.
Green Hills and Cool Springs.
They're going to be our jewelers for life.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
The 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series is coming to Nissan Stadium on Saturday. The outdoor game has the Predators taking off against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It will also feature performances by Miranda Lambert and Dierks Bentley. Visit NHL.com/Stadium Series for more details and to purchase tickets. Daniel Jeremiah's new mock draft is out. NFL.com is mock draft 2.0. Tyler Linderbaum at the 26th pick, an offensive lineman, a center to the Titans. TD's with us for the TD Power Hour. And Trevor Maddich was on our show yesterday, TD, and he was just raving about the offensive linemen that are going to be in this draft.
I think because there's so many elite offensive linemen, you'll have a lot of guys taken up high by the teams who need them. But I think that means that some other guys will drop down a little bit more. You know, I think that out of Central Michigan, there's a guy that some people have mocked to the area where the Titans are picking, named Bernard Raymond. I mean, he's a big, nasty, hostile guy who dominated the MAC. He's a really good player. Ohio State's tackle. Nicholas Petit Ferrer, I think you say his last name. I did breakdowns on the guy, but his last name always escapes me. He also is an outstanding player, and he's 7th or 8th offensive tackle in this draft. So there are some guys that on the third day in the offensive line would be pretty good risks to pick up that have a chance to come in and be at least solid role players for you. But the elite, the guys at the top, I think this is outstanding, especially at tackle.
TD, what do we think about the offensive line? I know the fans don't like the offensive line idea picks. What do you think of the offensive line right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is deep, and there are guys always, as Trevor said, the day 3. I think when you look at Tyler Linderbaum is an option. That's understandable, especially if they can't get something done with I almost said Ben Simmons. I got my Sixers hat on, and Nets with Ben Jones. But I think there's, like I said, it is deep, and it's from top to bottom. There's going to be options there late, even where the Titans pick in the first round. They should have multiple options. Daniel Failele, I believe you pronounce his name. He's another one. We're talking about a really big monster of a man who has some movement skills. He could be a right tackle for them, and he's someone. So, yeah, absolutely. This is a deep draft as far as the tackles are concerned.
So I don't know if it's the scouts that aren't doing this well, if it's Robinson that is struggling with it, if it's Keith Carter that's struggling with it, but every fan, I already know the fans are going to freak out if they take a first-round offensive lineman because they're going to say, look at the last 2 offensive linemen the Titans took high in the draft in Isaiah Wilson, and Dylan Radins. I got to be honest with you, I kind of agree with that concern that if you take a guy high this year in the draft, I mean, I don't like the idea of saying, well, this player's going to stink because the last 2 stunk, but I think there would be a lot of anxiety from Titans fans if they took an offensive lineman high in the draft this year.
Does Dylan Radins really stink though? I mean, again, you're grading, and you can't do that. You can't.
But how do you think the fans feel about Dylan Radins right now, though?
They probably don't like him, but at the same time, you have to look at it realistically. You don't draft a guy for 1 year. You draft him for 4. So there's still plenty of time. I mean, there's plenty of guys you look at that did not come in and have an immediate impact. It's just some guys don't. And when Dylan Radins was selected, there should have been an understanding that it was going to be an adjustment process. This man didn't play football. He played 1 game the year before. So it was going to be a process. And again, you look at when he did get on the field, he showed that he has some ability. So it's just, to me, it's foolish to call him a bust or say that he stinks after 1 year. I can't do that.
Right, but I'm telling you how like people are going to react if they draft a lineman in the first round. They're going to be like, "Oh no," because we've done it. Like that's how they're going to react. They might be wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. That doesn't make it right, and that doesn't make me have to agree with it.
But I think the bigger issue here too is the fact that the Titans, quite frankly, haven't developed offensive linemen that well. I mean, if you look at Conklin developed, but then he left. I mean, Nate Davis had a great second year. The third year left a little bit to be desired. But I think that, to me, I'm a little worried. I think that Like, I want them to go out and fix, wide receiver and tight end and other elements of it. But if this is a deep offensive lineman draft and they have to replace 3 offensive linemen, they're probably going to have to do it via the draft.
Well, Jared, let me ask you a question. Because everybody loves the deep passing, right? Throwing the football down the field, right?
Sure.
What was the big reason why they struggled to do that last year?
The quarterback's not good enough?
I'll answer the question for you correctly. A lot of it was they didn't have time to go down the field.
Joe Burrow went down the field.
They didn't have the protection to throw the ball down the field. And Joe Burrow is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Let's not be foolish here. So for you to say, hey, just fix the receiver, you have to understand that there's a process to it. You need to first and foremost make sure you have time for the quarterback to throw the football down the field. And one of the ways that you do that is by making sure that he's well protected. Now, obviously, having a guy that can, push the ball down the field the way Joe Burrow does is definitely important. But Joe Burrow in that situation with the Bengals is an anomaly. You don't see many teams have a subpar offensive line and be able to do that. So you do want to address that part of the team.
I just don't think that fixing the offensive line in the draft is going to be what sets the passing game up for success, because I don't think they can address like all these different areas at one time through the draft.
There's ways that you could do. Yeah, free agency as well. I'm not saying like address everything that way, but one way to make it better and make the process more of a smooth process is to get that offensive line intact, right? And in doing that, you're going to lose some of the guys along there, but I'm not going to sit here and de-emphasize the importance of having an offensive line just because we saw Joe Burrow, be able to do it. Like that's one case. Most cases, you need that offensive line to be able to give that quarterback time to throw the football.
So if you had to pick where you think this team could build in the draft or where they should build in free agency, what would you say are free agency positions, and which ones would you say with this draft you think will be draft positions?
Tight end, free agency. Everything else, draft.
They're going to have to find some picks.
I mean, they have, 6 picks?
They have they have a first, obviously. They don't have a second, and then they probably have everything else. Unless I think they traded their 7th this year as part of the Isaiah Wilson deal, but I can't remember specifically.
I'm pretty sure it's 6 picks. I'm pretty sure it's 6 picks. And you can move around in the draft. Ideally, they would be able to move out of 26. Obviously, it takes 2 to tango, but if you can move out of 26, like if one of those quarterbacks are there just kind of hovering and you got a team that wants to move up ahead of some of the teams coming up that may draft a quarterback, you could trade back and acquire other picks. But the thing that you have to understand is like there's more than just the first round in the draft. And obviously they don't have a second right now, but there are guys like I mentioned Jig Okonkwo. I mentioned Jelani Woods before out of Virginia. You look at a guy like Sam Williams out of Ole Miss as far as the pass rush is concerned. He has a lot of ability. There are some character issues. This team has showed that they're willing to take on guys who have those issues. If it's a good guy who made a mistake and not a bad guy who continues to make mistakes, that's a quote from Mike Vrabel, right? So I think that's another thing that you look at. I mentioned Trevor Penning. There's a lot of guys, Marquise Hayes. There are options that you could pick, outside of the first round and get later guys. And if you look at the draft picks that John Robinson has been able to hit on the most, where have they been selected? Usually on day 3.
TD is with us. Get your questions in. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. TD Power Hour, Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will continue to be possible this afternoon, evening, and heading into the overnight hours before we quiet down on Friday morning.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today. Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Golfers, tee it up this year at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway. Featuring the new Rogue ST drivers, Callaway's most stable driver ever, with tungsten speed cartridge, jailbreak speed frame, and AI flash face. Engineered for max speed and forgiveness. 4 different models to fit every golfer's needs. Think speed? Go Rogue. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit for the new Rogue ST drivers today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
What if I told you there was a breakthrough technology for treating erectile dysfunction that can eliminate ED? This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and I'm not going to tell you that. Because despite what some groups claim in their ads, the truth is, there is no such thing. What they're talking about is acoustic wave therapy, and it's been used to treat ED for many years. In fact, we've used it in our practice since 2018. And while wave therapy is useful for some ED cases, it's not a miracle cure. And you could spend a lot of money with those other groups finding that out. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we offer many ED treatments, including wave therapy. We've successfully treated thousands of men with protocols that have success rates as high as 90%, and will find the right treatment for you. You could even have great sex the day after your appointment. So don't be fooled. Call us today and get the right treatment for you. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Cloud-based premium accounting software and full-service payroll for up to 100 employees.
PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job?
Not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Inside knowledge on the Titans.
Todd Downey's got his notepad out right now, just writing things down.
Inside knowledge on the Predators.
They go right into the forecheck, and boom, you get a beautiful goal from Colton Sissons.
And then there's a team in Knoxville.
How excited should Tennessee fans be by what they've seen from Josh Heupel in year one?
Wake up and hang out with Robbie and Rexroad. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and The Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, the TD Power Hour. Tyrone Davenport is with us. 102.5 The Game. We're live at Bridgestone Arena, and we're the official home of NASCAR. Tune in this Sunday at 1:30 for the Wise Power 400 at the Auto Club Speedway, and also get set for the race with Chasing Checkers every Sunday at 8 a.m. So there's that.
Woohoo!
NASCAR.
Vroom.
Time now for your questions for TD, 615-737-1025. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Ellie, kick us off. You're on with TD. Thank you for calling. Go ahead.
I mean, Toronto, do you think this is a good draft that the Titans draft, like go down in the draft in the second round? If there's like a quarterback needy team like Detroit want to move up for quarterback, so maybe they could get like 2 second-round picks, because the depth in this draft is really, really good, especially wide receiver and offensive line, and that's what we really need, and even maybe a tight end. Thank you.
Yeah, no, he's definitely correct. This is a good draft there because you have guys like Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder who are going to be hovering around, and even Matt Corral possibly could be, hovering around there, and a team will probably want to move ahead of Detroit, at 32, and that is a way to get extra picks. So the caller, L, he's definitely correct with that, and it is deep at. I mean, receivers, there's a bunch of receivers in this draft, as there are in every draft, and the tight end position is deep as well.
I look at the last 2 drafts with the receivers and the guys that have come out, and I'm not just talking about the top guys, but like this Gabriel Davis in Buffalo, I mean, he's freaking awesome. And I look at the last 2 drafts, and I'm like, The Titans only have Des Fitzpatrick to show for that. That one just totally gets me, TD.
It is what it is, man. They went the direction that they did, and obviously, Fitzpatrick didn't give them everything that they expected, and they should have came away with more options there at receiver, without a doubt.
Mark from Paris texts in and says, my question is if we need a guard, center, wide receiver, tight end, etc., how do you get meaningful starters if you only have a first and a third? Anything after that, such as the fourth on, is hard to get that starter that will have an impact.
Well, I mean, again, you look at the option to move back. They have been able to get contributors, that could come in. I think, again, some of the guys that I mentioned, even Cole Turner out of Nevada, that's a red zone killer right there, and he's someone that could be a 4th round pick, come in and be a guy, like he'd be a day 3 pick, and he could come in and be a guy that maybe doesn't start, but contributes. And that's the whole thing. You don't necessarily, there are positions there, receiver, tight end. There are positions where you could get guys later that they may not necessarily be a starter, but they'll help. And that's what it's about. And then, obviously, usually in your 1st round pick or your 3rd round pick, those guys are starters. But you can even find tackles and guards in the 4th round that could start as well. And there's a bunch in this draft. So I think you can find starters into the 4th round, just with the depth that is going to be there. I mean, look at Trey Smith, out of Tennessee, right there in the backyard, and he's there starting for the Chiefs and a contributor there.
Do you find it concerning at all that other than A.J. Brown and Elijah Molden, that the Titans over the last couple of years really haven't drafted anybody that's come in right away? Like, they've drafted guys that have developed into good players down the road, but the Titans right now, we know how close they are to competing, that other than A.J. Brown, they really haven't gone out and gotten anybody that's come in right away and made a huge impact.
Yeah, that is some concern. And I mean, that's kind of why they're in this situation as far as, being tasked with finding so many players in the draft, because some of these 1st round picks, haven't really struck and done the things that you would expect them to do. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Joe texts in and wants to know your thoughts, TD, about David Njoku from the Browns potentially coming to the Titans.
Yeah, that would be a really good move for them, but the money, the dollars and cents don't make sense. And I don't, that's just stylistically, yeah, absolutely. He would be a guy, and that's someone I feel like they should pursue, but I just don't see how they could, make that work and have Harold Landry come back. So that's the way I look at that. And I think, there are some other players that'll be less expensive that I think could give you a contribution as well.
Another texter texts in and asks, what are the implications of being over the cap? Has the NFL ever punished a team for being over the cap?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to be like, there's a cap on the spending that you could do. So the NFL hasn't really had to punish a team because they weren't able to go into, the year being over, so that's really how that works.
Floyd told me that when they first implemented a salary cap, that if you were not under the salary cap by the day that you were supposed to be, and they were like 30 million over. And so he had to like that's why he traded Warren Moon. That it was $1 million fine every day.
No way.
Yeah, every day that you were over the cap. Now, I don't think that still exists, but it was $1 million fine every day you were over.
That is crazy.
Ridiculous.
Sean texts in and says, Landry is a speed rusher who greatly benefited from a greatly improved front. In my opinion, financially not top of the market worthy. Your thoughts, TD?
Yeah, I mean, I had mentioned that, a lot of the things that he did was close the deal. And that was because of protection and things like that, going a different direction and just, him being unblocked and things like that. But it still takes ability to close on the quarterback. When you see him going from one side of the offensive line to the other and chasing down the quarterback and bringing him down, like that takes ability. That's not something that just anybody could go in there and do. So I don't want to get into cheapening his sacks. And I think when you look at, his 12 sacks, 7 of them came on 3rd down. So that's, there's something about good pass rushers who are able to timely get big plays when you need them. So I'm not going to cheapen Harold Landry's effort and his results, but I don't know that it is top of the market, like $18 million per year worthy. But you also have to look at what else he does as far as is always available, and he's very strong against the run as well.
Another texter texts in and asked, how can we feel confident about this draft when other drafts haven't hit?
That's the thing that's so interesting to me. You know, people are so quick to say other drafts haven't hit, but, you know, some guy named David Long, Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard, Jeffrey Simmons, A.J. Brown, you know, Elijah
Derrick
Molden.
Henry.
We could go on and on. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back even further to Derrick Henry, I mean, we could go on and on. There's plenty of picks that John Robinson has hit on. So I think it's kind of it's not. I'm trying to pick the right adjective. I wouldn't take it as far as to say that the drafts haven't hit. I think there's reason to be confident just on the strength of just what has happened, you know, with a lot of these day 2 and 3 picks. And obviously the first round picks, those are the ones that get all the attention, and those picks haven't always been the best. But I think overall that this team has done a good job.
Another texter texts in and says, if the Titans do let Harold Landry go, will that be another emphasis in the draft, his defensive line?
It would have to be an emphasis in the draft. And I think that's where a guy like Sam Williams comes into play, you know, out of Ole Miss. I mentioned him last segment. And I think, you know, that's someone you definitely have to look at. But it just goes back to, like I said, how are you going to be able to, you know, evaluate some of the character concerns that he has, you know, the baggage that he's bringing with him.
Yeah, fair point. Another texter texts in and says, keep Julio or draft a wide receiver.
Julio thing's interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah, post June 1st, you save $9.5 million. So that definitely is interesting. But I think you do keep him. I think you look at this year as a do or die type of year for him and, you know, pretty much for the team itself. So I would keep him around.
There you go, TD. Appreciate you as always. TD Power Hour. TD, what's on Talking with TD this week?
Yeah, Cole Turner, the tight end out of Nevada. We have him on. And then Chris Sanders goes through his combine, his pre-combine training experience, kind of turn back the clock there. And he also goes over some of the things that he looks at with receivers. We dug into it a little bit with that, just how to watch receivers at the combine.
TD, as always, we appreciate it. We will talk to you next week. TD will be on the morning show as well tomorrow. TD, appreciate it.
All right, for sure. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yep, Teron Davenport joining us, as always, TD Power Hour right here on the program. So Joe Rexrode yesterday came on the show, and I love Joe, even though I'm sure some people don't know that, but I do love Joe. But we got to arguing. We argued about a lot yesterday. We got to arguing about something in the NFL that I am just convinced we are going to be fighting an uphill battle against, trying to convince the fans of the truth. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, it's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
274 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. You're not going to win a game that way.
The voice of the fan.
I'm tired of let's just give it to a quarterback.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Bob's Steak and Chop House is a renowned award-winning steakhouse in major cities across the U.S. Nashville is lucky to have a location here in downtown at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Fine dining is brought to a new level at Bob's with awards like the Wine Spectator Award 4 years in a row, TripAdvisor Certificate of Excellence 5 years in a row, and Open Tables Diner's Choice Award 6 years in a row. Fine dining at its best. Bob's Steak and Chop House, open Wednesday through Saturday, 5 to 10 p.m. in the Omni Nashville Hotel. Complimentary valet parking is always available.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as the Nashville Predators take on the Tampa Bay Lightning this Saturday night. Puck drops at 6:30, but the party starts at 6 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Mid-State Sports League spring registration is now open. With 7 different sports to choose from, there is something for every player. Join Nashville's largest sports leagues and register as a free agent or bring your own team. Spring registration is now open for softball, sand volleyball, soccer, kickball, flag football, and basketball. For a full list of adult and youth leagues, check out midstatesports.com. That's midstatesports.com. It's no debate. Play Mid-State.
Harmon Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Harmon Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit parmanenergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Got a party of 10 coming in. We need to flip those 2 tables.
Leah's restaurant is fully booked night after night.
Section 3 is still behind.
She no longer has reservations about finally finding a hostess.
Why doesn't 23 have menus? Oh, because they're in my hand.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County,
ESPN,
102.5 The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving. ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. 102.5 The Game's Preds Game Day broadcast brought to you by the Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. You didn't need to move that. It was fine.
I just want to make sure.
Crispy will join us here in 30 minutes. Chemo Teenanen will join us. Dan Hamuse will join us. So very excited. Today's Pekarine's Day. Again, they want you in your seat if you're planning to go to the game. In your seat by 5:45. Ceremony at 6 o'clock. Puck drop later than normal, 7:30 for Pekarine's night. So I believe that this is an educational program.
I'd like to think so.
Now, it's not PBS. But I'd like to think that we are educators about sports as much as we are entertainers about sports. And sometimes people just do not hear the education. We tried to educate them on why this Julio Jones thing wasn't going to work. We tried to educate them on why Ryan Tannehill's not good enough to win a championship. We tried to educate. And more often than not, maybe I'm crazy, but I almost feel like we're fighting a hurricane and we're trying to hold up the boards on the wall to keep it from all falling down. And I'm not sure we do the best job of this.
And that's awfully dramatic. I don't think it's that serious.
That's how it feels sometimes.
It does feel sometimes like we are fighting a good fight and no one's on board.
So yesterday, Joe Rexroad was on for Jared versus Joe. And we were talking about the salary cap. And he was talking about, the cap this, the cap that, the cap this, the cap that, cap this, cap that. And I hear this every time, every show I listen to. Well, they've got $13 million in cap space, so they couldn't trade for a guy. Or Cleveland's got $24 million in cap space. So let's see. New England's got $7 million in cap space. Hey, what can they add with $7 million in cap space? Or what can they do with this? What would they? And I've tried to tell people that the cap is total bullcrap. It is a figment of the imagination. And when Floyd was GM, the number was a lot smaller, and there were less rules that you could use to get around the cap. Floyd even would tell me that as he was, now. We'd be like, it's different than when I was running things. But the cap is nothing. It doesn't matter. It's the NBA cap. It's the bird rights. It's the mid-level exception. It's all the things that the NBA has in their cap that makes it not a cap. That's what the NFL is starting to adopt. And it's amazing to me. And I will give you this example. I will give you 2 examples. Every year, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Rams keep every player on their team. Every year. Have you noticed this?
Yes, I have, especially with the Kansas City Chiefs. This year with the Rams. With the Chiefs, I'm like, how do you have Patrick Mahomes, who makes $1 kajillion, Tyreek Hill, Tyrann Mathieu? Like, how do you have
and they
space
keep signing guys.
Yes.
It's like Chris
bringing
Jones,
guys in.
record defensive tackle, Travis Kelce, new 5-year deal. And so I've tried to explain that the cap doesn't matter that much. But Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee Show did a great job because, see, he played. So, he knows how it's different now and then. This is what Pat McAfee said on his show talking about the salary cap. And again, educational program. We are educating you about the salary cap. This is what McAfee said.
This was a move Tom Brady did with the Patriots so many times. He would take his yearly salary, they would turn it into a signing bonus before the season. Then that number, instead of hitting for the 1-year salary, it'd be scattered amongst the years in which the entire contract is. Then people started gaming the entire system. All right, we're going to do a 10-year deal with 8 voidable years, but the voidable years are opt-outs that won't be figured out till later. We'll turn this contract into a signing bonus contract. Then we'll scatter it amongst the 10. Now, nobody's done 10 years, but they've done 4, 5, and 6. But I'm just saying for the sake of the explanation of why the salary cap does not matter. So then they take that 1-year salary, they put it in the signing bonus so the player's still getting his money. Then they scatter it throughout the entire years. So then they save all the money, basically. That's why you add the voidable years at the end, because then that contract is now cut into 4ths, basically, or 5ths, depending upon how many years you extend that thing, which leads us to the next point, that nothing matters in the salary cap conversation now that that has been figured out. So you have to remember that whenever you're thinking about your team. Oh, can we afford this guy? Can we afford this guy? The answer is yes. You can afford whoever, whenever, however. That is just what everybody needs to understand with the modern NFL. Will the NFL adjust to that and make rules so that can't take place? Probably. There will be an adaptation somewhere of these owners that don't want to spend all this money or aren't maybe in desirable cities that have either good tax benefits or good weather or anything like that, where you're seeing a lot of OGs kind of travel to. So there's going to be people that are pissed off that can't play the system as well as everybody else. There will be a change. But until that time comes, probably a couple years, right now the salary cap means absolutely nothing and it's only going up. So you should remember that whenever we put up how much space a team has going into free agency.
You know what?
What?
I agree. 100%.
You can make it work. The salary cap is so incredibly malleable. And when I think we were talking to Joe yesterday, and he was like, well, then, yeah, why don't you just keep every single player on your team?
The Chiefs do.
Well, but also,
the Rams do.
What's the point of keeping Roger Saffold for a $10 million cap hit? Because he's not good enough. It's not like you're just keeping every single player just for S's and G's. It's because you can sign whatever player you want, get rid of the players you don't want, and you can kick it down the line.
The Dallas Cowboys are $21 million over the salary cap.
Okay.
Dak will be on their team next year.
Yes.
Micah Parsons will be on their team next year. Mm-hmm. Zeke will probably be on their team next year. CeeDee Lamb will be on their team next year. All those offensive linemen will be on their team next year.
Cooper.
Now, he's a little questionable, but he's questionable because he hadn't lived up to his money.
It's not the cap.
Right. Like if Amari Cooper was worth the money, they'd be keeping Amari Cooper. But all those guys are going to be back next year. They're $21 million. You think Jerry Jones is not going to go out and sign free agencies? You think Jerry is going to be stuck at home on the day of free agency and he's sitting there, I want him, but we can't do it against the cap? No, he is not. These bullcrap rules probably exist so that the cheap owners can sit there and say to themselves, well, we just don't have the money to be able to go and get these guys. And the rich owners like Jerry and the woman for the Saints and all these that do not care. They want to go out there, build a winner every year.
The Saints are $80 million over the cap. No one cares.
Here you go. DeMarcus Lawrence, $27 million salary cap hit. Zach Martin, $20 million salary cap. Zeke, $18 million. Tyrann Mathieu, $17 million. Guess what?
Gosh.
They're all going to be playing for the Cowboys this year, and they're not giving away money. I literally laughed my rear end off when Kevin Byard came out talking about Landry saying, if I have to redo my contract like I did with Clowney, I'll come out and do it. Two things.
Don't you act like a martyr,
Number
Kevin
one,
Byard.
He didn't have to redo his deal on the Clowney thing because they already had money. The second thing is when you do that, like McAfee just explained, you're just getting the money up front. You're not giving any money back.
Sure, I'll take millions of dollars today. I am willing to risk that for the team. I'll take all of my money right now. Thank you very much, and I will see you in Cabo.
So what you do is you take Amari Cooper. Like if Amari Cooper's not worth $20 million, which is his base salary.
Oh my gosh.
Then you cut him. But that's just because he's not worth it. If Amari Cooper were worth it, then you redo the contract and you spread out money down the road, and it doesn't matter.
$20 million.
It doesn't matter. Like, it truly does not matter, and I have gotten to the point, because I used to be a cap-mattered person, and I remember, they got the cap space, go get Clowney. Well, I don't know. Oh, they got the cap space. And it was last year that it hit me, when it was like, well, they just don't have the cap space. I mean, there's no way that they're going to be able to go get any free agents. And then immediately they cut Dennis Kelly and Adoree Jackson. They went out and got free agents. And I was like, oh, I didn't know it was that easy. Or remember, it was like, well, they're really up against the cap, so they're not going to be able to go get a tight end. And then they trade for Julio Jones. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. So it's all bull crap. Just remember that, people. So whenever you talk to somebody about, let's say, a hypothetical trade. We did this with TD. Brought up the Ravens as a possibility for Harold Landry. And I said to, I could see the Ravens trading for him. He's like, well, they only have $8 million in cap. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter they have $8 million in cap. Everybody will keep who they want to keep, and they will lose players that are not worth the money. Roger Saffold, as an example. Mm-hmm. They are going to lose Roger Saffold. Why? Because Roger Saffold is old, and Roger Saffold gets hurt all the time,
he's
and
expensive.
He's not worth the money. But a guy like Lewan, who might not be worth the money, left tackles nowadays make about $20-25 million. He's making 14, so it's like, you know what? For a serviceable left tackle, 14's fine. So he stays. And then if they want to maneuver the cap number around, they can do it any way they want to do it. And I know fans don't care. Like, I know at the end of the day, fans do not care about the salary cap. But this time of the year, it keeps getting brought up. Let me ask you this question. Right now, if I take you to the bottom of the salary cap, as far as who's got space and who doesn't have space, you tell me if you think that these teams will not be in the playoffs next year or be competing for the playoffs. New Orleans is $76 million in the hole. Green Bay is $37 million in the hole. Dallas is $21 million in the hole. The Rams are $13 million in the hole. The Vikings are $14 million in the hole. The Giants, which I will never understand that.
Who are they paying?
The Giants are $11 million in the hole. Guess what? It doesn't matter. The Rams will be competing next year. Dallas will be competing next year. If Aaron Rodgers stays, Green Bay will be competing next year. Miami's got the most space. The Chargers, Jacksonville, Cincy, Denver. Most of these teams don't win. Cincy won this year one time. Other than that, every year Jacksonville's got cap space. Every year Indy's got $36 million.
You might want to use that cap space a little bit.
Every year Indy's got cap space. Every year.
How?
Because they just have
Indy has good players.
And guess what they don't do? They don't ever get good enough players to go win.
But they have good players.
Right, but they don't spend the money on good enough players.
It's fair. Or money to keep good players.
But they got their money. Hey, they're sitting on it because they can't get a quarterback. They'd pay the money if it was to go get a good quarterback. They can't go get a good quarterback. So that's why they're not competing. So the salary cap doesn't matter. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. There is another non-existent salary cap that's not even really a cap that I do want to get to because we haven't gotten to this today, and I think it's a major story. We'll do that next. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game.
Tune in every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. for Nashville's own Jason Fitz with Jarrett Stillman & Company. Fitz started his sports talk career right here on 1025 The Game, and now he anchors shows for ESPN. Jason Fitz is brought to you by Blood Assurance. Give blood. Give local. Give life.
No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free. Plus, a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Your home value is way up. You can use that money now to pay off credit cards or remodel your house, or both. Hey, Willie Donner for Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto can convert that home equity into cash as little as 2 weeks from now with no cost to you and zero hassle. Mike and Joan in Brentwood called Loan Pronto and they did a Loan Pronto zero cost cash out refi. They got a check for $100,000. They used $50,000 to pay off all of their credit cards and a car loan. Use the other $50K to upgrade their master bath and kitchen. They locked in a new APR in the 2s and lowered their total monthly bills by hundreds of dollars. Hello? What are you waiting on? Call Loan Pronto now and convert your home value into cash. Put that money to good use. Do it now and you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780 or lowpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Parman is now hiring and seeking qualified candidates for construction equipment truck drivers, service technicians, and more. Apply at parmantractor.com or call 615-865-7800. Come be an employee owner with the Parman team, your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Signs First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 1025 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
Interact with Stillman and Company. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Stillman and Company, ESPN 1025 The Game. Crispy going to be stopping by here. So there is a story in the NFL that people are talking about, but I don't think they realize how big of a deal this is in the NFL. And it involves a Hall of Famer. So yesterday, did you see the story from Andrew Marchand in the New York Post?
I did see the story, yes.
So the broadcaster shuffle.
Yes.
Is in
the
full
analyst
effect this
carousel.
year. Well, it's going to be everything now because Al Michaels is up too.
Al Michaels, Sean McVay.
So everybody's moving around here. So right now, you've got we know ESPN's Monday Night Football crew has been terrible for years. And like even this crew, like they're not as terrible as Booger McFarland, but they are terrible. And so they're terrible.
Booger was so bad.
They're terrible for a number one crew. So like they would be a good third or second crew on Fox or CBS, but they're not a number one crew. And there's a true feeling, like a true different feeling from a number one crew like Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, Joe Buck and Troy. There's a difference from that and like Iron Eagle, Charles Davis. That's not a number one crew. And I say all of this because I feel personally like this news that Troy Aikman has gone to ESPN for Monday Night Football is much bigger than how people are going to perceive it. So everybody likes to talk broadcasters, and I like talking broadcasters too. I think Aikman is very good. I think Romo's game has fallen off since he signed his big contract. But him signing the big contract was important. And the reason they signed him to the big contract is because while the fans turn on the game to watch the game, the NFL cares about the broadcasters. So like,
game experience.
The NFL wants the best broadcast period. So if they don't like your broadcasters, they're not going to give you good enough games. And so that's why ESPN every year has been working harder and harder to get a better booth. They've been trying to get Peyton Manning for years. And they've been trying, everything, because the NFL will give them better games if they have better broadcasters. That's why ESPN was willing to pay all the money for Tony Romo to tell the NFL, hey, we're serious. We spent all this money on Tony Romo. And so CBS paid him $17 million a year to not let him go to ESPN because CBS want to be like, no, see, we care about Tony Romo because we want good games. Well, Aikman was at Fox, and Aikman was making good money. But he literally played every tool that he had in the toolbox in order to get Romo money because I think he thinks Tony Romo wasn't as good of a quarterback as he was and wasn't as good of a broadcaster as he is. So if Romo's making 17, I want to make 17. And ESPN gave it to Aikman. So Aikman made $11 million last year. He exercised an out in his contract that would have allowed him to not do Thursday Night Football. So Fox upped it to 13 and change in order to keep him on Thursday Night Football. Then ESPN ABC offered Aikman Romo money, and he took it anyways. So Aikman only cares about the money, which is fine. I don't care about that.
Is this a done deal?
Yeah, it's done. Here's the crazy part about this. Here's why this matters. Because when analysts start making $17 and $18 million a year, that's more money than coaches make. That is the same amount of money that good players that don't play quarterback make. And so now, think about if you're an NFL player or you're an NFL coach, and you're like, do I stick it out for another couple of years or do I do this? Now remember, Gruden was making $6 million a year, and the Raiders offered him $100 million. This is what makes Gruden so stupid, by the way, which I'll get into. But they offered him $100 million. So they had to offer him such an outlandish amount of money to get him to go back to coach. Because these coaches' lives are miserable. Like, unless you're like just a coach through and through and you hate the media, like Vrabel, then there's no reason to coach if you don't have to coach. And this is why you brought up Sean McVay's name. And I think this is a leverage play to get more money. But the truth is, if you're Sean McVay and the going rate for a number one analyst is $17 million, Collinsworth is $12.5, and that now looks like a bargain. But if the going rate for a number one broadcaster is $17 million, and Fox is going to offer you the number one broadcasting job this year, which I think they should give to Kurt Warner, but that's just me. But if the going rate is that kind of money, why would you coach? If you decide to coach, you work all day, all night. You got to deal with 53 guys that could come. You could have one guy that could wreck the whole thing and have to deal with all these egos and all your assistant coaches, and you lose and the town wants to fire you, and the owner might be crazy, or you can go be a number one broadcaster that has almost no expiration. Al Michaels has been offered $11 million a year at the age of 77. So, why would you not do this? And not only that, these are essentially like Supreme Court justice spots. Phil Simms got yanked off the number one chair a couple years ago, but he did it for 25 years before that, and he landed as a pregame show guy, and he's still making great money. I heard Boomer Esiason talking about it today on his show, and he's like, yeah, I'm not interested in calling games anymore, so I'm not into it, but you want to pay me $100 million, I'll go do it. And so now, this is going to affect the NFL. If the broadcasters start making more money, like Madden did this when he went to Fox, but then nobody else got close to it. And now these guys are doubling what Madden was making. And if you're going to do this, you're going to see coaches and players that are like, no, I'm going to broadcasting. If the money is better than playing, why would I coach? Why? Sean McVay makes $8 million a year. Why would I coach to make $8 million a year when I can commentate, have no risk of getting fired or losing, and I could keep my job for probably 15, 25 years and make $17 million a year? Why would I do that?
Well, because the number one analysts will make $17 million a year. What does the second and third crews make? No coach or player is guaranteed a number one analyst spot.
No. But if Sean McVay were to leave, he's getting the number one analyst spot.
Yeah. But not every coach is going to get a number one analyst spot. Sean McVay is applauded by the league for some reason. Sean McVay is a Super Bowl winning coach.
But this is going to keep going on and on and on.
And there are only a finite number of chairs.
But it's going to keep going up.
Yeah, it will.
They even added a booth. Who's going to do color commentating for Amazon this year? Who paid
Amazon.
$1 billion? $1 billion for Thursday Night Football.
And ESPN is going to have to get a second crew because now their number of games is going up.
Yes.
So they're going to have a second crew. But
Like
there's
this
still only a finite number of chairs.
This Brian Greasy bullcrap ain't going to cut it.
He can go.
Like that's the message that they're giving you in the NFL. And like they are, I'm telling you. So no, I mean, you're not going to see every player do this. But if it keeps going in this direction, this is why I told somebody about Colin Cowherd. And I was like, you don't understand how big of a player like a young network with money is, which is what Fox was when they hired Skip Bayless and Colin Cowherd. Because when you've got the money, you're okay to spend it. You almost see it as like, the cost of doing business. So you got no viewers on Fox Sports 1, and you got no viewers. And so what you do is you go write Skip Bayless a ridiculous check, or Colin Cowherd a ridiculous check, and then they come over and they get people to know that your network exists. And then after that, well, Stephen A. Smith's contract comes up. Well, Stephen A. Smith wants to make more money than Skip Bayless. And if not, he's going to leave. And these guys make so much money that if you don't give me the money, I'll just retire. And so what's happening is this is going to keep going on. So now, to the point, if it's $17 million for the number 1 chair, and that's going to go up, then it's going to be even more money for the number 2 chair. Because, and I'll give you an example. Drew Brees is the number 2 at NBC. And they want to develop him to one day take over for Collinsworth, and he does Notre Dame. Well, Fox's number 1 is open right now. And if Fox were to go get Drew Brees, NBC would have to do what in order to keep him? Pay more money. And so this is why, like, with these analyst jobs, now, look, some of these guys are going to stink at it. This idea, like Sean Payton, he seems like he might be good on TV.
Drew Brees isn't great.
Drew Brees is terrible. But, I mean, there's a risk in this.
But he's also a name.
But for these networks, all that matters is impressing the NFL. And so if you're going to pay $1 bajillion to show the games, $6 million is a drop in the bucket. And so $17 million is not that much either. And it's just going to go up and up and up. And see, here's where Michaels is smart. Al Michaels is smart. I promise we'll get to your phones in just a second. Al Michaels is smart because he's had the Amazon deal for forever and hasn't taken it yet. And now if you're ESPN, ABC, aren't you looking at Michaels and thinking, man, if we can get Michaels and Aikman, I mean, that is a power booth.
And there's even grumblings that Buck would follow Aikman and go to ESPN with him.
Which would be crazy because Buck would be giving up the World Series to do that.
He would. And that's another caveat is, he calls the World Series for Fox. Is he going to give that up? That's something that ESPN's going to have to compensate him for.
Or if you're Fox, do you let Buck walk? Because if Buck were to go to ESPN, ABC, then you've got to replace your entire number 1 booth. And ESPN,
also your World Series booth.
ESPN has showed us how hard it is to replace the number 1 booth. I mean, think about it. When Rupert Murdoch bought the NFL, there was such a fear that Fox was so low class and not ready for the NFL that he went out and called Madden. And Madden had a deal for Monday Night Football. Madden was going to Monday Night Football. And it was almost done. The agent had apparently shook on it with ABC, but Madden hadn't agreed to anything himself. And so Murdoch called and was like, what'll it take to get Madden? And Madden's people had already agreed for about 2.5 to go to Monday Night Football. So he's like, I'm going to throw out a ridiculous number and see if they, just whatever, 10 million. And Murdoch said, I'll give you 8. Because they needed Madden in order to legitimize Fox's football coverage. It's like, no, we are legit because we got Madden. So in order to do that, you got to pay. And so that's what's happened now with all these networks. The NFL is now telling you, we don't want the same boring old Phil Simms. You got to get good networks, good broadcasts. And the Aikman deal, you will lose coaches and players to television because of the fact that the money is now getting so much.
And I don't blame them in the slightest.
No, I mean,
your day-to-day is so much easier. You're getting paid more money. But I also do wonder, there are probably a big group of guys out there who don't have any interest in doing any sort of analyst position, any sort of TV thing.
So, you could never pay Floyd enough money to, do that over be a general manager.
Right.
You couldn't. Then again, I will say this. Like, one time Floyd told me that he would never go to the Jets. And I was like, I go, really? Because their GM job was open. He's like, no, I'm not going to the Jets. Screw the Jets. That worst franchise. And I was like, $2 million. You're not going to go to the Jets. Nope. I go, $4 million. You're not going to go to the Jets. He goes, $4 million? I said, yeah. He goes, Jets, 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 Jets. So, like, everybody has a price.
Right.
And I do feel like if you were to offer Floyd $17 million to do TV, he would have done it over coaching. But I'm just telling you, these guys, man, like this money's too good now. And so it's going to be crazy. What's going to be crazy is when a guy in like his prime walks away from the NFL to do TV.
I mean, I feel like that's the same thing with Sean McVay.
Oh yeah,
you're one of the youngest coaches in the league. You just won a Super Bowl,
$8.5 million,
and you're going to walk away.
And the going rate's now 17 for a broadcaster.
Why wouldn't you?
A number one broadcaster is 17. McVay, you're paying him 8.5. If you're Kroenke, you're gonna have to pay him $15 million, maybe even more to keep him if someone offers him that kind of money. I just don't know if McVay's gonna be very good at TV. So what I would do,
McVay likes the spotlight.
What I would do is I would put Kurt Warner with Joe Buck.
Ooh, that would be
that would be.
duo.
I think Warner has paid his dues as a broadcaster. Mm-hmm. He does the Super Bowl for Westwood One. I think Warner, to me, that would be the route that I would go. Is I would just move Warner over. And then if Warner stinks for a year, get him out and get somebody else in. That's what Fox did with baseball. They tried Harold Reynolds and Tom Verducci, and that wasn't good. So then once John Smoltz was ready, they got him out, put in John Smoltz. I would do that. I'd put in Warner, give it a year, and see where it goes from there. But then again, Buck and Aikman are BFFs.
If I'm ESPN, I will throw Joe Buck equal amount of money.
Oh, I want Michaels. If I'm ESPN.
Split up that duo, Troy Aikman, Joe Buck on ESPN.
Well, yeah, but then you got to compensate
Aikman and
Fox.
Al Michaels. Yeah,
you got to compensate Fox though, because Buck's under contract. So the last time that they traded a broadcaster, Al Michaels went from ABC to NBC, and it ended up being like Al Michaels was traded for extended Olympic highlights that allowed ESPN to show more Olympic highlights because NBC has the rights, and like Oswaldo the Lucky Rabbit, which was some cartoon character, ended up going from like NBC, Universal to Disney, so that Disney could use this character. I don't know.
Interesting.
Crispy's supposed to stop by and join us. We'll also get to your phone, 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company. It's ESPN 1025 The Game, and as always, we're streaming on the Game Nashville app.
Jump in the mind of an NHL veteran as Predators analyst Hal Gill joins Stillman & Company Tuesday afternoons at 5:30.
Here they are in a pressure situation every night because they need 2 points.
And Robbie and Rexroad Thursday mornings at 9:30.
Goaltending, I think it might be an issue at some point.
Presented by Duncan on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Join us in Smashville to experience hard hits, big goals, and golden moments. Your Nashville Predators are in action at Bridgestone Arena, and now is the time to get your tickets. Introducing the Paint the Town Preds Pack, complete with 3 games, a $25 Yeehaw Brewing Company gift card, 2022 Stanley Cup playoff priority, and more. Visit NashvillePredators.com/paint to secure your pack. These are the games you don't want to miss as the Preds make their push to the playoffs. Join us in Painting the Town Preds and secure your ticket package today. NashvillePredators.com/paint.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list. list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now. They have same-day delivery for your convenience and pay nothing down today. Use Social Furniture financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. They can deliver any size mattress the same day during their President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I'm excited to tell you about the folks at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring is just around the corner, and if your AC or heating unit is old and inefficient, then you need to take advantage of the Spring Hill Early Spring Special in the month of February. Save up to $1,000 for Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Get a York unit with a 10-year parts and labor warranty with up to 60 months no-interest financing on all York units. Restrictions do apply. Schedule now at springhillac.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York-certified comfort expert company.
Tonight, the Blue Raiders continue their homestand at the Glass House against Marshall. Coverage begins at 5:30
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, it's Mike Greenberg, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Predators are retiring Pekka Rinne's number tonight. Number 35 will go up there. They want you in your seats at 5:45. They want the ceremony will start at 6, and the puck drop will be at 7:30. Terry Crisp will be a part of it. He joins us now on the program. Crispy, I'm not sure I have ever met somebody who had more respect for Pekka Rinne than you, which is saying something. What do you think tonight? What are your feelings tonight about Pekka's number being retired and being retired so quickly?
You know what, Dylan? I've always, even from when I was just a player in the old 6-team league and whatnot, when I used to go into the buildings in the old ones, the Olympia and the Maple Leaf Gardens and the Montreal Forum, and first thing I had to do was look up in the rafters, and I'd look at the jerseys, and I'd see Rocket Richard, Gordie Howe, and Glenn Hall, and Horton, and all those, and you used to think, wow, how amazing is that? What does it take to do it? And then suddenly you're gone down through, and then suddenly we're with this team here, and then suddenly it comes out, 23 years we've been here, all the players have gone through, and they could not have picked. And it could have been some harder and some close ones. But a better guy to put the first jersey in the rafters of the Bridgestone Arena. Nobody better. I mean, Jared, you've heard me talk about this man, Pekka Rinne. I mean, we can throw out all the stats you want and all the amazing games he's played and everything. But every time I look at Pekka Rinne, or I'm in his company, or I see him anywhere where he's about and doing things, the first thing that pops into my mind is that word that I love, class. This man is class from start to finish.
Yeah. You know what's funny too, Crispy, is there is a responsibility that I'm not even sure I've really heard anybody talk about, including maybe even Pekka, that maybe he's not even aware of. There's kind of a responsibility now that comes with having your number retired, which is they can fire a coach, they can fire a general manager, they can fire a president, they can change owners, they can do whatever. But Pekka Rinne will always be a Nashville Predator great. And that means that when times are not good, I believe his word carries some weight. You know, his thoughts on the organization matter. We see this with organizations when they're struggling, and it's like there's a new general manager search, and they always bring back former players to be a part of it. I mean, I think there is a level of responsibility, especially with a franchise that doesn't have a lot of people that have been, you know, all-time greats, that Pekka now has that nobody else does.
Yes, and you know what? I heard Skilsey and Mace doing that great interview yesterday at a luncheon.
It was great.
For Pekka Rinne. And they Skilsey sort of alluded to it. And Pekka sort of smiled and said, I'm just enjoying now sitting where I am, doing what I'm doing. But he said, down the road, yes. He said, I'd love to stay involved in hockey in some capacity, in some form. He didn't say what. But if I know Pekka and watch his career and what he's done, it won't be just going out with this little guy and playing minor hockey or coaching minor hockey. Pekka Rinne one day will slip back into the ranks.
Crispy, as a coach, how big was it to win the other night, knowing how big of a week this is between tonight's game and then what's going to happen on Saturday? I know coaches can only worry about, the game that's in front of them and playing their best and things like that, but I felt like it was a big weight off their shoulder to end that losing streak against the team that they beat the other day and in the fashion in which they did it. How important do you think something is like that, knowing how big of a week this is for the fans?
It's huge because we love what's happening here now, especially with the Pecorine setup and the jersey retiring, the stadium, the series outdoor that we have all going for us. But you can't lose sight of the ball. You can't lose sight of the whole thing it's about is this hockey club performing and getting points and getting to the playoffs and making things happen. And there'd be nothing greater than to beat the Dallas team tonight with Pecorine's jersey going up and a stadium series coming in because they are one of our best foes. I mean, we've got a good rivalry with them, and you always have that, and it makes for more fun. But I don't even think, don't take this wrong, please. But if we had a loss and it happened, in my mind, it certainly would not dampen my Pecorine jersey retiring days I'm having here now.
All right, last one for you, Crispy. The rumor came out from some guy in St. Louis. I don't know if it's true. I don't know. The Predators are actively shopping Philip Forsberg. How's that make you feel, Crispy?
You had to get it out, didn't you?
I had to.
Bring it. You know what? That's hockey. And we knew all along. You've known. You said it, and all the other guys have said it, that it's got to happen. I mean, David Poyle's got to be looking. Pecorine, Forsberg has to be looking at the future, certain things. And I can guarantee you that David Poyle and Forsberg's agent are certainly talking. And are certainly describing what they'd like and what they think is going to happen down the road and whatnot. That's hockey. That's the business part of it. As much as we love individuals, as much as we love certain things, there is a business side to hockey, and that's the business side of it.
Terry Crisp, as always, he'll be on the broadcast tonight. Again, 6 o'clock. They want you in your seats at 5:45 for the ceremony. Bally Sports will have it live. Crispy will be a part of that. And again, there is nobody that loved Pecorine more than Terry Crisp. Crispy, appreciate you, as always.
I got a box of Kleenex.
Oh. See you tonight, Crispy.
I would never let you see me cry. A lot of things, but that won't be one of them. Well, maybe not. Thanks, guys. See you all tonight, eh? It'll be a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Yep, Terry Crisp joining us on the program. One time I went in the locker room before the game, and this was like a random game or whatever, and Pekka was taking his pads off, and I was just kind of there. And Crispy walks in the locker room, and Crispy he's media now, but, he's Crispy. And he's walking in the locker room, and as soon as he walks in, he's got a cup of coffee in his hand. He's got his jacket on. I mean, you would not know that he wasn't a coach. You would think he was a coach the way that he walked in there, the stern look on his, game day. And Pekka's taking his pads off, and hey, Crispy. And Crispy walks right over with his cup of coffee, and I see the two of them talking, and it literally looked like a horse trainer and like the Kentucky Derby winner. Just there, like just checking on the Clydesdale, just seeing how it's going. And over the years, a couple games or Pekka or whatever, and we had Crispy on. We had Crispy. We always talk about like the Tannehill thing about how the Titans, hey, they got to stick by him. They got to like Crispy. The idea of like, hey, we still love him. We still love him. Crispy never. Like, and it wasn't even questioning if this was real or not. Like, you knew. Like that Crispy loved Pekka, believed that every night he was on the ice he could win. So during the Arizona bubble, we had him on the show. And we hadn't talked to Crispy in months because he went up to Canada when all this happened.
Right.
So this is like, the COVID shutdowns and me and Floyd upstairs at my old house. And we had Crispy on during the Arizona bubble. I didn't even know we'd be able to get a hold of Crispy. And we ended up having Crispy on. And they had lost, I think, the second game. And so now it was game 4. And it was an elimination game. And it was the day before. I go, Crispy, who should start in goal? And he talked, and he would not comment one bit. And he was like, make of that answer what you will. And I looked at Floyd, and I go, he'd be starting Pekka, but he doesn't want to say it because he knows the coach is going to start Saros.
Right.
So he don't want to throw the coach under the bus, but he'd be starting Pekka. So, I mean, I think that for Crispy, this one's going to be special. But there is a big responsibility, and I want to touch on that, maybe hit some headlines coming up next. We'll do that. Stillman & Company right here, live from Bridgestone Arena here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Let me make sure that I don't need to tell all the fine folks out there anything important. Yeah, go ahead and tell them this. Text in SEC now to the game text line at 615-737-1025 for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament for Games 1 and 2 at Bridgestone Arena on Wednesday, March 2nd. Text now SEC to 615-737-1025 to get qualified to win.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Rain finally ending after midnight, drying out overnight. Low temperatures back in the 20s once again. Highs for your Friday, stuck in the middle 40s. A cold, breezy day and a mainly cloudy day as well.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
TSA is hiring security officers at Nashville's airport. Learn more at a TSA recruiting event February 25th and 26th. Text BNA to 95495 for details.
Hey, what's going on? Chase McCabe here to tell you about Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine. Dr. Rice, is it true that according to the American Dental Association, roughly 80% of people in the U.S. have some form of gum disease?
That's right, but our non-surgical periodontal therapy is painless and effective in keeping your mouth healthy. And the mouth is the window to the health of the rest of the body.
I know you have some different things that you offer. What else can you tell us?
Well, first, who doesn't want whiter teeth? Our new Zoom LED whitening system is less sensitive, and you get more than 5 shades of whitening. And we just upgraded both our lasers to kill bacteria during your cleaning.
What about taking care of cold sores some people may have, which can become painful? Can lasers help with that too?
Yes, the gentle laser setting will kill the virus in your cold sores all naturally while reducing the healing time by half. And our special soft tissue wand uses warm, light laser therapy to give instant relief to severe TMJ pain. Our approach to holistic dentistry is unique.
Give Dr. Kelly Rice Family Cosmetic and Dental Sleep Medicine a call today at 615-373-4488 or visit kellyerice.com. You'll certainly be glad you did.
Thinking about making a change? You've put in the years and had success, but ready for something more? Well, good news. Little Guys Movers is looking for folks just like you to own and operate their very own Little Guys Movers franchise. From Broadway to Brentwood to Mount Juliet, if you can hear my voice, there's an affordable, profitable Little Guys franchise opportunity nearby. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Join a team with 30-plus years of growth and good times. Learn more at littleguysfranchise.com and then make that call.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy payroll customer.
My husband and I started a business together, and I had no idea where to start when it came to payroll. And a friend of mine recommended Patriot, and I have not looked back since. It was extremely user-friendly. I was actually able to understand it and run everything extremely well. And anytime I've had a question, they have been so quick to answer and help me. I definitely recommend it to anyone who is looking for payroll software that is easy to use, user-friendly, and really offers everything that you need when it comes to something that's beneficial for your business.
Visit us at PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Meshing journalism.
They are 2 scores behind you. The math says that increases your chances of winning.
With sports fandom.
I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, just emotionally numb from Titans and Packers.
And sarcasm.
You guys are the worst.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode. No duh. Weekday mornings from 6 to 10. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Stillman & Company is on. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Feeling great. I
I mean, obviously, I've had a lot of time to prepare myself and get ready for tonight. But obviously, this week, being here, I think there's things that you can't prepare, and I think tonight it's gonna be special night that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. But obviously, very, I'm looking forward tonight first of all, and there's a lot of emotion involved when it's a night like that. But already this morning, I get to see the team, my old teammates. I know that there's bunch of my ex-teammates in town, bunch of my friends, my family, the organization, the staff, so many people that I've worked together for so many years. So it feels special to share this moment, this whole week with so many people. So feeling grateful.
There you go. That was Pekka Rinne. And I was kind of hinting at this with Crispy. That and we'll have Kimmo Timonen will join us in the next hour. Dan Hamhuis will join us in the next hour to talk about Pekka. And again, they want you in your seats by 5:45. Ceremony 6 o'clock sharp. There's a big responsibility that I don't think people are talking about. Like when it comes to the Pekka's retirement, it's like, oh yeah, great guy, the great memories, and I don't disagree with that at all. But there is a level of responsibility now that Pekka has that nobody else has. Like it's almost like a level of power. And I'll explain how this works. Like in the structure of the Predators, right? You've got the team president, you've got, people that work under the president, you've got the general manager, you've got the coach, you've got, star players. But we're already talking about getting rid of one of those star players today. And when that happens and somebody moves on, then like who's in charge? And normally when it comes to fans and public opinion, you take somebody like me that'll challenge a team or something, and it's like, oh, well, Jared Stillman, like, they can go after me. They can be like, Jared Stillman doesn't know what he's talking about. Jared Stillman doesn't. But when you're a star player, you don't, when you're retired, when you are always a member of that team for the rest of your life, they can't go after you. And Eric Dickerson, we've played this clip before, but Eric Dickerson, I thought, did a great job of kind of showing you the power that comes with this. Jeff Fisher is the head coach of the LA Rams, and they're not winning. And we know how Jeff Fisher likes to control the narrative and be Jeff Fisher and, all those kind of things. And this is what Eric Dickerson said when he got into it, when they were losing, and he was making a big deal about it, which ultimately led to Jeff Fisher getting fired.
It started because I had said on my radio show about, in LA, we want to win. We don't want to almost win. And they say, oh man, if we'd have had another quarter, if this wouldn't have happened, I say that's what losers say. And so I said we need to win. I'm saying, and 8-8 and 7-9 is just not going to cut it. I said, this is LA, this is not St. Louis. And so then I got a call. Yeah. I got a call from Jeff Fisher. He called me and said that, that they did not want me on the sideline. I made the players feel uncomfortable. I made his coaches feel uncomfortable. That's what he said to me. I mean, he said that. And I'm not going to talk about his players and expect things from the team. Right. I said, okay. And then I won't forget, I said a few more other things. I didn't say one word. I just listened. Yeah. And so he said, okay. I said, well, thanks, Jeff, for calling me. I appreciate it. He said, okay, Eric. And they said, okay, I'll talk to you. I said, oh, no. It's my turn now. And I broke it down to him. I said, Jeff, really, I want to thank you for the call, man. I said, I appreciate it. I said, but understand one thing. I said, man, F the Rams. I don't work for the Rams. I didn't work for the Rams. Right. I said, I played for that football team. I said, I wore that uniform. I said, man, you just a coach. I said, when you leave the Rams, I will still always be Eric Dickerson of the Los Angeles Rams. And, went on, and then he said, Eric, man, I didn't want that. I want you to come to the games. I said, as long as you're head coach, I'll never come back. And what happened?
He didn't come back.
He got fired. And that's so now when things aren't going well, it's easy when things are going well. I love the coach. I love the GM. But when you get that jersey retired, if you don't like the things that are going on with your team, you've got power that nobody else has. Because no matter who the coach is, no matter who the general manager is, no matter who, he will always be Pekka Rinne of the Nashville Predators. And he will always be able to say what he wants, and people in this town will always listen. And there is a lot of power that comes with that level of respect. Now, again, Pekka's not a big headline guy or whatever like that, but it gives you the power. He has
the option to exercise that power if he'd like.
We talked about when Eddie George was talking, at LAX, they were asking about Tannehill. You could tell Eddie was like, well, I think the team, this, because Eddie knows the power that comes if he says, Oh, yeah, Ryan Tannehill. He knows the power. And now Pekka's got that. Time now for a couple headlines with Caroline.
We're spanning the sports world. It's Headlines with Caroline on Stillman and Company, right here on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now, a name that had kind of floated around for college coaching jobs, NFL head coaching jobs, is staying put. Eric Bieniemy will return to the Kansas City Chiefs as offensive coordinator for the 2022 season. He considered college, for almost every single open college position, I believe Eric Bieniemy's name was in consideration for it. But he's been on the staff since 2013. He spent the past four seasons as the offensive coordinator. He and Andy Reid figured out a solid deal for him to stay put in Kansas City. So Eric Bieniemy not going anywhere.
So I actually talked to some people in Kansas City. I don't know what Bieniemy will do this year for the Chiefs.
What do you mean?
I don't think that he is very well liked.
Really?
In Kansas City, yeah.
In the inner workings of the Chiefs or in fans?
I mean by Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
so I have heard, that they're, and I think if you go digging, there's, some insider Chiefs websites that have talked about this a little bit.
Interesting.
I think that there is I'm trying to think of the right way to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if circumstances were different, Eric Bieniemy would not be back. I think if Patrick Mahomes got a say in it, Eric Bieniemy would not be back.
But how does Patrick Mahomes not have a say in it?
Because, he's not going to come out and say fire the guy.
Well, if he comes out and tells the owners, tells Andy Reid, I'm sick of this guy.
I know.
You're the star quarterback.
I know, and I still think he would get overruled.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How? You are the franchise quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, and if you don't like the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, I feel like he'd be out the door.
It's a really big story right now as far as coaching hires are concerned in the NFL.
Yeah.
What is
a really big story?
What is a big issue right now with coaching hires in the NFL?
Black head coaches.
Okay. And Eric Bieniemy can't get a job.
No.
But the offense is scoring a bunch of points.
Yes.
If Eric Bieniemy gets fired,
that's a bad look for the Chiefs.
And that's why I'm saying, I think even Mahomes would get overruled. But what I have heard is that Mahomes is not a huge
fan
guy.
Interesting.
And I do find it odd that none of these other jobs have none of these other teams. He's interviewed with every freaking team.
Yeah.
And nobody else has hired him.
Interesting.
What else we got?
So an MLB update.
True.
Major League Baseball will begin canceling regular season games if the league and the MLBPA cannot come to terms on a new collective bargaining agreement by Monday. So Monday is the hard deadline. The league has stated that for health reasons, they want at least 4 weeks of spring training before they start the season. So Monday would be that 4-week mark before opening day on March 31st. If they can't come to an agreement on Monday, then games will start to be canceled. Now, if there are games at the beginning of the season that are canceled because they can't come to terms, they can't come to agreements, those games will not be made up, and the players will not be paid for those games. But they already remain very far apart on coming to an agreement. They met on Wednesday.
Headlines with Caroline right there. Kimo Timonen going to join us coming up next. Pekka wants him on the stage tonight, so we'll get his thoughts. We'll discuss with him. That's coming up next. Right here live from Bridgestone Arena. TriStar Moving, my official movers. I moved a year ago with TriStar Moving, and it was absolutely fantastic, and I'm telling you that you should do the same. Again, like most people, I hate moving. Moving sucks. And it's very stressful, but not when you have friends like I do at TriStar Moving. That's why their motto is TriStar Movers with 5-star service. From the initial phone call to the final signature, moving was a breeze. And with their brand new storage facility in Mount Juliet, they do it all. Their owners, Garrett and Robert, are true Nashvillians who truly care about helping out their hometown, and that's why their company is on the rise quickly because of the high standard they hold. If you're looking to move, give my friends at TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nationalmoving.org/radio, where they'll give you 5% off your entire move. That's TriStar Moving, again, 615-640-1219, nationalmoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Take us wherever you may go.
There is going to be a whole lot of work going on.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Coheed and Cambria. A Window of the Waking Mind tour with special guests Dance, Kevin Dance, and Mantha. Coheed and Cambria, live in concert. Nashville Municipal Auditorium, Saturday, July 23rd. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at livenation.com.
The 2022 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is back in Nashville as Bridgestone Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC's Women's Hoops March 2nd through the 6th. Join us and experience the bright lights of the Music City as we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now, so contact your university ticket office or head to secsports.com. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
From curriculum-based literacy programs and sport leagues to college tours and workforce readiness tracks, Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provide a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
Darren McFarland.
A lot of dots to connect there, a lot of storylines.
Willie Donick.
Be careful what you wish for.
And Chase McCabe.
Yes, because it's my favorite.
Get through your workday with Darren, Donick, and Chase. Weekdays 10 to 2.
Great three-man band live. Fired up.
Let's go.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I think they would love to see that.
Watch live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope.
When you see that, click on it.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 1025 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Stillman and Company.
Surprise, surprise!
I write down what was good, what was bad.
Afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell media station.
Live from the Game Nashville studios, it's Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. With Jared Stillman on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, ESPN 1025 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. Pekka Rinne's jersey retirement tonight. 1 hour from now. They want you in your seats at 5:45, 6 o'clock for the jersey retirement, and 7:30 for the puck drop. Bridgestone Arena broadcast brought to you by Hermitage Design Center, the professional source for lighting, hardware, appliance, custom kitchens, and baths on the web at gohermitage.com. Kimmo Timonen's with us in the house, coming down from Philly. Pekka Rinne, you know, the Finland brotherhood there. I want to start with this because I think it's kind of crazy. You were not on the first team here, but you were on the second team here. And the second year, or you were the second year, right?
Well, we started in 98, obviously.
Okay.
Everybody knows
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So I went to the minors for 3 months, but then I was
Then
up.
you were back
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So you saw kind of how hockey's grown in Nashville from the very start. Then the team kind of got good at the end there when you were here. And you had that nice little run for a couple of years. And then you ended up leaving. You got to know Pekka when he was here at the very, very end. Now he's a grown man. He's getting his jersey retired. He's when people use the word "it's special,"
Yep.
what does that actually mean?
Well, I got a good story about Pekka. I know Pekka a really long time. And, you know, it was year 2005, I believe, that he played his first game. But he only played 2 games, I think. And next year he played only 1 game. I was still here that time. And he spent 3 years in the minors. And I remember, I think it was 2006, 2007 year, and he was like, I don't think I'm going to get a chance. I might go to Europe. But then next year, 2008, 2009, he got a chance. The rest is history. And now his jersey is going up the rafters. So small details. Almost went to Europe, and now he's a legend here, and his jersey is going up the rafters. So it's a cool story.
Did you do any convincing at that level? Because, like, you played in the game long enough, so you know who's good,
Don't
who's
give up.
not.
I said don't give up. Chase your dreams, and you never know. I see you have a chance to play here someday, but he was getting kind of tired. The bus rides in the minors 3 years, and felt like forever for him. But then finally he got this chance, and we all know how the story ended.
So I was there yesterday at the luncheon, and he was kind of talking about being from, Pekka was talking about being from Finland and then going to Toronto for a little bit to get his visa worked out and then getting to Milwaukee. And he was like, I didn't walk outside of a bubble because it was too much, and you got a language barrier. And you're from Finland. He's from Finland.
Yes.
So now I'm sure, that when people think of Finland and goaltenders and they think of Pekka now, but before, I'm sure there was probably a level that Pekka probably looked up to you in some regard, being from Finland and all those language barriers and everything else. How much of a role did you take on when he finally kind of started to establish himself a little bit?
Well, I would love to take a lot of credit, but I don't
Take
think,
as much as you like.
I don't think I can. Obviously, when he came here, the first training camp, we were talking, and he was just a young boy, tall, skinny dude, and obviously language is an issue always for Finns to come here. We have to study English at school, but when you actually have to talk, it's a little bit different. But he's always been super confident, quiet guy, so I didn't have to do much. But I remember after 3 years, him spending in the minors, I remember that time that he was saying, okay, this might be enough. I can make a great career in Europe. I know I can play. But it only take a couple chances him to show what he can do, and here we are.
What kind of, like, from a confidence standpoint, right? Thinking about a guy like Pekka, or even a guy like you, that language barrier, the lifestyle of trying to adapt to living somewhere new, like, that's got to be really hard. And even when it comes to communicating with teammates and coaches and everything else that perhaps doesn't get talked about enough. And that's why when it comes to UC Saros, I think having Pekka there was obviously a huge part of his development.
Huge. But I don't think you can explain until you actually move into the country where you don't understand anybody. So it takes time. And especially, NHL, they want you to take care of your housing, car, electric, gas, whatever you need, phone. And you have to do it by yourself. So quickly you're going to learn how to do those things. And, Pekka was always, he was speaking pretty good English when he got here, but it's always a new thing for everybody, not just Pekka or me, for every Finn or European who comes here.
How big of a deal is this in Finland that, the Predators are retiring his jersey and everything? I know how big of a deal it is here. How big of a deal is it there when you're there, or people ask you about him, or what are those conversations?
Well, Pekka is obviously up there. When you think about the players people know outside of Finland.
Sure.
He's probably one of the biggest names. Obviously, there's Teemu Selanne, Saku Koivu, Tuukka Rask, names like that. But Pekka is up there, and some reason the Finns we produce good goaltending, like Juuso Zier right now doing pretty good job. But I'm just happy for the guy. He's such a cool dude, and we get to witness something history here because it's the first jersey retiring here. So I'm happy to be here for him.
You know what's crazy? Kimmo Timonen's with us. What's crazy to me about retiring somebody's jersey, I was talking about this earlier today, which is that you now have a level of power, and power may not be the right word, responsibility, or where coaches will change, general managers will change, players will change, leaders, captains will change. But when your name's up there at the building, you are forever a Nashville Predator.
Oh,
your word matters. Your opinion about the franchise matters. And we see teams, when things are going bad, rely on a lot of those guys. And right now, the Predators don't have a deep history. They don't have a deep stable of people that are out there that kind of, to usher in the next wave that they can rely on. That is a big responsibility, Kimmo.
Well, it means for Pekka that he played a long time really well. Whoever gets the jersey retired, it means you've been in the same place for a long time. 10+ years, obviously, and being a star here for a long time. And as a Finn, if I don't remember incorrectly, we have 5 or 6 players who's got jersey retired. So we don't have many guys who got that honor. But Pekka earned that honor for playing a high level for years. And, I'm going to get emotional when I see the jersey raising up to the rafters today.
When I think of Pekka, I always think back to the 2017 run that the Predators had. And it felt like every night there was somebody new that was scoring. But what people forget, when they won in Game 6 against Anaheim, Anaheim outshot them like 42-16.
Yeah.
And it really, that was the first time here that we had seen a goalie carry a team almost right up to the finish line. And I wonder kind of, as another player, when you see a team like the Predators, whether they got shortcomings, skaters this, coaches that, when you've got a guy like Pekka Rinne, what kind of feeling is that like every night knowing that he might give you a chance to win, even if you only put up 13
Well,
shots?
when you play with Pekka, you know that you can make a mistake because he's back there saving your ass. So that's a really good confidence booster for your team to know that you have one of the better goalies in the world saving your ass. But I don't know what to say because he's so cool dude. He's so quiet. He doesn't make a noise for himself. He leads by the example, and it's just great. And I want to say that when I was here from 98 to 2007 or 6, obviously every year we took a step forward. We were better. But then Pekka's time came, and I feel like he was the one who took this organization to a different level. He took this organization on his back and said, let's go, and made it to the finals. And that's a hard thing to do. And I think only goalie can do that. And Pekka did it.
It's funny you say that because I used to talk to Laviolette, and even after Laviolette was done here, and we would talk about Pekka, and he said, he was the backbone of the organization.
Yep.
That was the phrase that he used to use all the time when it came to Pekka. And I'm not convinced that you saw what it was like, in the early days. Like, the Predators were here, but, did the people care? And now you look at it, and it's like, it's a major league pro sports.
Well, obviously, you have to, when we go back history, 98, this wasn't a hockey town.
No.
But now it is, big time. And I see that. I've been here, not every year, but every second year when I left, I see the growing, hockey is growing everywhere. The team is getting better. But the fans, they're crazy. They love the game now. When I was here, obviously there's some learning times, obviously, because they didn't know much about hockey, but now it's a different story. They know the game.
But see, that doesn't happen if you don't win, and this organization really started winning at that level because of Pekka Rinne.
Yeah, well, Pekka is the reason.
And I've always said this too, Kimo Tiemanen's with us, that there may be great players that come through here, in the future. And I hope as a fan that there's a better player than Pekka Rinne that comes through here one day because, that might mean that you win like 3 or 4 cups or something.
Yeah.
But he will always be the first. The first player that has his jersey retired and everything. Like, he's the first.
I know.
And I think there's something special about that for a fan base that no matter what, you will have people that are in here today that are, tonight, that 15 years from now, they'll have a son who's 13 or 14. There'll be a player, and every time that dad will be like, yeah, but it's not as good as Pekka Rinne. I mean, I'll just tell you right now, it's not as good as Pekka Rinne.
That's how it works. Then you bring your kids into the rink, watch the game, and you see only jersey up there that's Pekka's jersey. And the kid might ask Dad, who's that guy? And Dad said, that's a Pekka Rinne. He played here for 14, 15 years, whatever that is. And we almost won. But that's the history. That's the legacy of Pekka Rinne, and everybody will remember that.
The one thing, too, I always say about Pekka is I know Pekka a little bit, covered Pekka. I know, obviously you played with him. People coached him. Everybody knows Pekka. I have not met one person who has ever said a single bad word about him. Not one thing. Not after he loses, he can be kind of a real pain in the ass. Nothing. Not one bad word. They've lost games. They lost the Winnipeg series. He gave up 2 quick goals, got yanked out in Game 7, and he was not scheduled to speak after the game. And he went out there and said, I want to talk.
Well, that's Pekka right there. But I know Pekka a little bit better than probably you guys, so I know he gets mad sometimes.
Sure, but like again, not a bad. I've not heard one person say a bad word.
Well, that's a Pekka. You know, he's such a quiet guy, and you know, he doesn't make any noise about himself. And if you ask him to help you or you, he will do it. He's just that kind of personality. And when it comes to media or the teammates, he will always be there. So just a nice guy.
So I got a funny story about you before we let you go. So when you were here, I believe you signed to go to Philadelphia, right? Was it a trade?
Kind of like, yeah, I was kind of weird times that summer.
I remember, like, it was big in the news.
Yeah.
And your kid at the time went to the same school I did. Now, he was like really, really young, and I was like in high school.
Yeah.
And I remember because people knew that your kid went there, and so when you went to Philadelphia, apparently the phone was off the hook in the admissions office because everybody knew that your kid was there.
Yeah.
So they knew that spot was open.
Yeah.
So they were all calling, trying to get that spot when you left.
Well, the year, we had a really good year. I think we had 120 points or something in regular season, and I was a captain that year. So my kids, I had 3 kids. They were born here. And that was my 8th year here, so I never wanted to leave. But the summer was kind of weird. We didn't know who's going to own the team and that kind of stuff. So me and Scott Hartnell, actually, we got traded at the same time.
So it's funny.
And now we actually neighbors. He's living across the street, so I can't rid of this guy ever.
So it's crazy that you say that because I was telling Caroline about this because she wasn't here back then. But what's crazy about all this is that, I know it sounds nuts, but like before Pekka, there was a question whether or not hockey's going to work here.
Yeah, well,
there ain't no question anymore.
That's what I said. You know, only Pekka could change this. Only goalie can change this because he's such an important piece of the hockey team, and you know, it means that he played a long time in high level. You don't get to retire your jersey if you play 6-7 years. You have to play 10+ years and play good, and he earned it.
Kimmo, you'll be on the stage per Pekka's request, as I've been told today.
All right.
So enjoy it tonight.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Pekka, and I really appreciate you stopping by.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Kimmo Timonen, a Predators great from the beginning, joining us here on the program. The Hammer is going to join us. Dan Hamhuis going to stop by next. It's Pekka night. We're getting into it too. Stillman and Company. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robbie and Rexo, we talk with the legend, Terry Chris, about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. I started my first business in the basement of a factory over 30 years ago. We had no heat and no air conditioning. Instead of customers, our office visitors were rats, birds, flies, and snakes. Our office flooded often, and we used blankets as our office walls. We were broke and needed help. That's why I created Patriot Software, to help small business owners with simple payroll for 1 to 100 employees. And if you need help, we will help you for free. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
How can a half-carat diamond magically grow into a 2-carat diamond? With Genesis Diamond's 110% diamond upgrade guarantee.
Our trade-up policy is the best in the United States.
That's Stasia at Genesis, explaining how if you buy a diamond today and want to trade it in for a bigger one next year, Genesis always gives you back your original purchase price plus an extra 10%.
We will gladly give you every single penny you paid for the diamond plus an extra 10%, which is amazing. No one does that.
As a real-life example, take Stasia's customer Paul.
When he first started, he got a half carat, and then as he became became more successful. We rewarded him. He came in and he got a 3/4 carat, and then he's traded for a carat. I'm sure I'll see him this year for a carat and a half. As they grow and change and become more successful, their engagement ring can grow with them also.
And there's no catch, no minimum trade-up requirement. And it works on diamond studs and diamond pendants as well.
You get every single investment dollar you put into the diamond, you will get an extra 10% towards the new diamond.
Genesis Diamonds and Luxury Pre-Owned Rolexes.
You can trade as many times as you wish.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Stillman and Company on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Less than an hour to go until the Pekka Rinne celebration. Again, they want you in your seats. If you're on the way to the stadium, get here now because they want you in your seats by 5:45. The ceremony at 6, which we will carry live right here on 102.5 The Game. And then, of course, tonight, puck drop 7:30. So get excited for that. The Hammer, Dan Hamuse, is here. So, I mean, I got to say this. It's so funny because, we were talking to Chemo about kind of the way things used to be here and how Pekka Rinne is going to be, the first player that's celebrated here with his number up there and how different hockey is in Nashville. You lived it on both sides of it. You lived it pre-Cup final run and you lived it post-Cup final run. And I almost think, and I said this the day after his final game where they shut out Carolina and he took the lap around the ice, and you kind of knew that was it. And I remember thinking the next day saying, no matter what happens with the Predators, they may go get better players than Pekka, but he was the first great player here. And I wonder kind of for you as someone who saw it before Pekka and somebody who played with Pekka, then left, played against Pekka, then came back at the end, kind of when you try to put into words that transition, how important he was to this franchise and this city.
Well, there's a lot to talk about right there. I was drafted in 2001, and the Predators were still coming out of the expansion phase at that time, trying to find their footing in the league, and hadn't made the playoffs. And I think it was in year 6 that we finally did, which was in my first year on the team was 03-04, and we exited out in the first round that year, but we had some really great teams through those mid 2000s, and that's when Pex came onto the team. I think was it 07-08 that was his first full season.
Yeah, started playing consistently.
First full season, yeah. And I loved my first stint here. I think I was with the organization for 9 years, played for the Predators for 6 of them. Went away for 8 years, and then I got to come back in 2018, and it was really cool for me personally, kind of full circle from my career, coming back to this organization to finish my career here. But man, the city, the organization, just everything had changed a lot from when I left in 2010, and the amount of buildings that are downtown and restaurants and hotels and all the bars have changed and gotten bigger. And the Nashville Predators have also become like a real big-time hockey franchise in the NHL. It's not just a startup kind of expansion team. How it was when I first got here. It's it's hosted All-Star games, it's Stanley Cup Finals, and it's had amazing players come through. And Pekka's a major thread in that. And how it's transformed.
How much did him being at the level that he was at when you decided to come back play a role in you coming back here?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly was a piece, and I mean, he was a piece of the story. I think that drew me back, and it was exciting for me to want to sign back here. And David Poyle's been here from day one. He drafted me, and there's so much of the staff that was here my first stint, and through those 8 years I was gone, they were still here. So coming back was just great to be around so many familiar people and in the city that I loved living and playing in.
What do you think made him? I don't want to say like so special, but as I was telling Kimo, I've never heard anybody say a bad word about him.
No.
Where does that come from? I've never, I don't, I mean, I'd like to think that I have a, certain amount of friends. I certainly don't have, there's people out there that will say bad things about me. There's not a single person that has said a bad thing about him. And I think that's so important because there's no but if when it comes to talking about him as a player or, what he meant to the organization.
No, there never is, because he showed up every day and he did the right things as a professional, and that's why he has the hardware he has in his trophy case as an individual and what he contributed to the team. But I think even more than that is just it's who he is. He's just a really, really good guy that I think everyone kind of aspires to be. He treats everybody like they're the most important person in the world. And I think, over the course of his career here, doing that every day, like everyone loves Pekka. And whether you're a teammate of his, a coach, or a fan, I don't think there's anyone out there that could say a bad word about the guy. And, he's lived it out, kind of his personality. He's done so much in the community here for Nashville, specifically with the 365 Fund, and contributed in so many ways. But, next level human, I like to call him.
Dan Hamhuis is with us. The example that he set both on the ice and off the ice, you were here, that weird year where they make a coaching change, and then finally, Coach Hines is here for a month, and then COVID hits, and Pekka essentially lost a job that he had had for 15 years in that season, and you never heard him complain about it. You never heard him. When it comes to setting that kind of example, how often did you feel like he did that, and what did you make of that as somebody who saw it from afar, kind of the way he carried himself, even through the not-so-great times? It's easy to talk about the good times, but the not-so-great times.
I went through it as well towards the end of my career. The last couple seasons of my career were similar, where I had a big role on the team previous, playing 20-plus minutes a night, and then you get dropped onto the third defensive pairing, sometimes healthy scratch, and you're not playing as much minutes. And so I could really relate to, maybe what he was going through. It's, goalie's a different position. There's just two of you, but, Juice was kind of starting to take the starting job at that point. And it's, from personal experience, it's a real challenge. You come to have a certain expectation from yourself and your role on the team, and when that changes, it's really hard to deal with. And for some guys, they can't, and it actually ends up, they kind of force themselves out of the league, unfortunately. But it takes a lot of humility to be able to do that, and I think a lot of self-awareness, and it also just be a good teammate to see that there's a new guy coming up, and then I think your mindset kind of changes, and you see how much Pex has invested in Juice, and kind of grooming him for this job. And I think that Pex took a lot of pride in kind of passing the torch on to Juice in the proper way.
Was that contagious, like the way that he acted when he played here, especially the second time you were around, when he was, the Vezina Trophy winner, and, like the bona fide, as Peter used to call him all the time, the backbone of the franchise? Was that contagious?
For sure it is. Pex he's an incredible leader. He's got a lot of influence on the team, and guys are drawn to him with his personality and what he's accomplished, but more so just the person he is. And I think everyone kind of aspires to be like Pex in the way he treats people, and he's really been a key cog through the whole growth of this franchise. But it's really starting with David and Barry Trotz, they really set the tone for just being quality people in the organization and treating people well and being involved with the community. They really set that tone, and Pex is one of a lot of guys that have kind of carried that tradition on here in Nashville, and there's been so many great people that have come along, and Pex has done an incredible job of influencing the next generation of guys that are going to carry that torch of what it means to be a Predator.
How much do you see that now with the current team? Because you know a lot of these guys, you played with them.
Yeah, you see it. You see the influence he's left. Guys seem to have a pretty good idea of what's important. Obviously, the hockey and performing is really important. And what we do here in the community is really important, and how we handle ourselves as people and representing the Predator logo is very important too. And you look at the job that Roman Yossi's wearing the C right now, so he's certainly front and center and has a lot of influence in that dressing room. And I'm sure Pex has had a lot of influence on him. He's a super guy too, and he's pretty unbelievable with the fans and takes the time, and very engaged in the community himself.
I told people, Dan Hamhuis with us, I told people yesterday that, I don't know if you went to the luncheon yesterday, if you were in town or not, but they showed a bunch of videos about the charity work that Pekka did with the 365 Fund that you brought up. And I said yesterday on the air, I almost started crying watching some of those videos that they were showing. And I say this because, you brought up the example to kind of, make in the community. But it does kind of feel like a lot of the things that Pekka did, yes, they were publicized, but there were other things that weren't publicized, and it never felt like he was doing it for the publicity because he never felt like a publicity guy. And I don't know why it almost hit me like that yesterday seeing that, but I almost feel like that's as important when you talk about what you mean to your community or your franchise as the 2017 Cup run was.
Yeah, it's interesting. In today's world, there's so much about social media and personal branding and personal promotion.
You want to show people, hey, look, I'm a good guy.
Exactly, and I don't think for a second that was on the forefront of Peck's. It actually probably annoyed him a little bit that stuff like that was getting publicized because I truly believe that he has a heart for the community work and the difference he could make in people's lives. And he mentioned it in this talk yesterday at the luncheon about how fortunate we are as professional hockey players and Nashville Predators that our community department gives us this platform to go visit hospitals and other locations around Nashville to make a difference. And it's been one of the highlights that I look back on it over my career, something special that I was able to be a part of.
Quickly, last one for you. Your favorite part about Pekka Rinne going up into the rafters and his number being retired for forever as a Predator?
Well, he's just the whole package. And you couldn't ask for a better guy to be the first one to go up. And it's going to be tough to get another jersey up there after if he's the bar that you got to meet to get your jersey up there. It's going to be pretty tough. Should be a lot of numbers available for a while for guys, but is on the ice, his longevity with the team obviously is a big piece of it. His on-ice accomplishments, but to round it out with what we've been talking about most is the type of person he is. It's everybody is just so happy for him, and excited to be a part of it.
Hammer, appreciate you as always. You got to get out of here. You got all these kind of things you got to do, but really appreciate you stopping by. It's good to see you, by the way. And look, some injuries happen here or there. Maybe they get you out. You look like you're in shape to play.
Well, I'm in shape, but I don't know if a hockey shape, more like skiing and running and biking shape. But, if it gets desperate, I'd love to be back out there.
Sounds good. Hammer, appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks.
Dan Hamhuis with us here again tonight. They're retiring Pekka's jersey in 30 minutes. Again, get to your seat by 5:45 because, again, 6 o'clock is when they're going to be doing this. Stillman and Company right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey, this is Matt Duchene, and this is Smashville.
Running down the left side with Duchene. Duchene scores! Matt Duchene with the overtime winner.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Hey guys, it's Mike from Newton Chevrolet Buick GMC. Can you feel that? Love is in the air. Maybe it's love for your significant other. Maybe it's love for Rome, your Bernese mountain dog. Maybe it's just love for chocolate. Wherever that love falls, this is the time to take it all in. But maybe take less of the chocolate in. So now that all the mushy stuff is out of the way, I'm going to tell you what we love. We love to help you. We love helping you find a new car when you need one. We love helping you keep your car running smooth with amazing service. We love partnering with you in the community to make a positive impact. Newton loves to help. We have a great selection of pre-loved vehicles on the lot for you right now. You can shop online and even start working your deal right now from your phone with Newton FastPass. Visit NewtonChevroletBuickGMC.com to shop or schedule service today. For the love of chocolate, see website for details.
President's Day is here, and that means huge savings at Electronic Express. You'll find great deals in every department, including all 4K TVs, laptops, tablets, speakers, headphones, mattresses, and more. Don't forget, we have up to 50% off all your appliance needs, in stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 36 months free financing. Shop the President's Day sales event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Backyard Blues Pools is your one-stop shop in Middle Tennessee for all your pool needs. Voted the #1 pool company in Rutherford County for 11 straight years. They have everything from new installs down to their 5-star cleaning services. Backyard Blues Pools at 2812 Old Fort Parkway and coming soon to 2126 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. Honk your horn when you see their big yellow truck with the Lazy Penguin. Call now for all of your pool needs. 615-907-4200.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I want to talk to you about my friends at Creation CBD. You hear me talk about them every single day because they present Darren, Donick, and Chase, and we are proud to be associated with them and happy about it. And if you have aches and pains, on your body, whether it's from working out, being active, getting older, and you're looking for a solution, well, I've got it. Creation CBD. Creation means healing, and that says a lot. Creation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here in Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Creation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use, including your pets. And you've heard me tell this story. Our female German Shepherd has had seizures for over 3 years, and lots of them. No matter how many pills a day she was on, the vet visits, nothing changed. But since putting her on the pet tincture, everything has changed. The seizures have stopped, she's lost weight, and she's a dog again. Right now, Creation CBD has got a special offer for DDC listeners. Go to CreationCompany.com, get 25% off your order by using the code DDC25 at checkout. DDC25 at checkout for 25% off your Creation CBD products. It's Creation CBD, curated for life.
Every Wednesday, it's me, Jared Stillman, against Joe Rexroad for Jared versus Joe. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Visit ParmanTractor.com, your Middle Tennessee link belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Hey, this is Pete Weber. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 1025 The Game.
Stillman and Company live at Bridgestone Arena. Again, less than 30 minutes until the Pekka Rinne jersey retirement. We will be running that live and in its entirety on the pregame show, which will start at 6 o'clock. The puck drop is at 7:30. So we were just talking to Dan Hamuse, Kimmo Timonen, and I said this to both guys, and I think it's kind of crazy when it comes to Pekka Rinne because, when a guy is kind of fake or phony or something like that, like you hear about that at some level or another. Or when a guy doesn't show up for stuff, it's like, well, this, that, whatever. And, I really have never heard anybody say a bad word about Pekka Rinne. And I think that it reminds me of, do you know who Perry Wallace is?
I don't think I do.
Okay, so it won't have the cultural impact. Pekka Rinne's jersey retirement doesn't have the cultural impact of Perry Wallace. But Perry Wallace broke the color barrier in the SEC at Vanderbilt. And I believe the second African-American that would have broken the color barrier had Perry Wallace not done it at Vanderbilt, I think later in life, if I'm not mistaken, was like basically a criminal, right? Mm-hmm. But Perry Wallace was, the model of, I think he was a lawyer and, was a real big
upstanding
key
human
cog in the Nashville civil rights movement and was a big part of the Nashville community. And Perry Wallace, they renamed a street Perry Wallace Way. And, if you read Andrew Marinus's book about Perry Wallace, it's just the way people talk about him. And I think when you're the first person that ever does something, and in the case of Pekka, not just the first jersey retirement that the Predators have, but in all seriousness, like the first great player that the Predators ever had, you want somebody who checks all of those boxes. Like, it kind of sucks as we have this discussion that he didn't win a Stanley Cup. Now, he came pretty close. They got to Game 6, and people forget about Game 6. He was fantastic in Game 6. Just freaking awesome. I want to say they scored. I want to say Patrick Hornquist scored with like a minute and a half, 2 minutes to go. And it was a 0-0 tie, and it was a game that he was just not going to give in on. He's a great player. But I also think the kind of guy he was really paved the way for what has made hockey so successful and popular in Nashville. In all seriousness, if it wasn't for him, I'm not sure that there would be a need for a second viable sports radio station in Nashville, which is what we were the second. And honestly, everybody got on his back. And I don't think that gets discussed enough. Like the fact that, but I'll use an example for us. we started the Jared and the GM program, and they told us, like, hey, we want, we'll do this for 2 years and see how it goes and whatever. And that first year that we did this program, and our radio station had made some progress, but really hadn't broken through yet. They go to the Stanley Cup final. And we talked a lot about the Predators during the year because we were the flagship station, and that's what the flagship station does. And we were almost kind of ready for it, whereas maybe the rest of the town wasn't. But, like, we were legitimately ready for that Cup final run because we had been talking about it. And, I had said that they had no chance to beat Chicago, who was the number 1 seed. They had won 3 Cups in 5 years. I mean, I said they have no chance to beat Chicago. They lost a game in March that year against Chicago, and I was like, they're not going to beat Chicago. And that used to piss a lot of people off, like for about a month of me being like, whatever they do, they have to avoid Chicago. Let somebody else take out Chicago, and they'll be fine. And then it came down to the last game. They lost at Winnipeg, and then they ended up playing Chicago. And I say this because game 1 of that series, they're playing Chicago. Chicago thinks they're going back to the Cup. Like, they think that, it is God's given right for the Chicago Blackhawks to be in a Stanley Cup final and to win it, and they do it every 2 years. And so this year, it's their God-given right to win. And they play that first game. And the Predators were huge underdogs. And they knew it. And the Preds scored kind of, I don't want to say a fluky goal, but it was like a weird Johansson, Arvidsson, perfect pass right at the right time in front of the net. He puts it in, it's 1-0. In the third period, Chicago put in an onslaught of pucks. I mean, like, you felt like I'm sitting at home watching the game on TV, and I'm like holding on to the furniture because it was literally like batting down the hatches. But he didn't give in. And they ended up winning that game. And I remember the next day talking about it and saying, they got the game in Chicago they had to get. They had to get one, and then they had to take care of home ice and whatever. And they start off game 2. Now, they blew them out in game 2. But they start off game 2, and here comes Chicago. And you could tell Chicago knew that they had to win this game. Because you go down 0-2, and then you're going on the road. You lose 1 in Nashville, and it's pretty much over because now it's 3-1. And, I mean, the first 5 minutes of the game, it's just shot, 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 just all on the net. And Chicago's playing with full force. Predators sneak one in to go up 1-0. Then Pekka makes a great play in which he actually got credited with an assist to Mattias Ekholm, who gets the puck to Harry Zolnarchuk, who scored on a breakaway. And that started this weird stretch of these unbelievable, just perfectly timed goals by just random guys on the roster, which permeated throughout the entire playoff. Now they're in the Western Conference Final. They lose a game in overtime at home. It's tied 2-2. They're going back to Anaheim. Mike Fisher gets concussed. Ryan Johansson has emergency compartment syndrome surgery and is out for the playoffs. So they don't have their starting 2, so their number 1 and number 2, their first and second line centers are out. He steals game 5 and steals game 6. I mean, just an incredible feat. They beat Anaheim the year before in game 7. He stole that game. It was a weird fluky goal, again, that they won by. It was a Shea Weber slap shot. Paul Gostad, someone gets a stick in there somehow, and they end up scoring. And if that doesn't happen, I'm not sure what hockey in Nashville is. Like, I'm just not really sure what it is. And another thing about that team, and I remember one day Floyd had some old man doctor appointment or something, so he had to come late, and they beat St. Louis in the second round of the playoffs. And I remember he came in at 4 o'clock. So I did the first 2 hours by myself, and then he came in at 4 o'clock. And they had won the game the night before, and they were up 3-1 on St. Louis. And he was like, I just love this team. I just love them. I mean, the way they fight, the way I just love this team. And you heard Dan Hamhuis say it when we were talking to him, and it was like this belief that, it kind of starts with Pekka, and it kind of permeates all the way down. And that's why I keep thinking about this, and I'm like, that's what makes this special for me, is the fact that guys like Tiemann and Hamhuis and me, like, we remember what it was like before Pekka. And it's so different now, even when the team is not playing well. and they're not the hottest thing in town. Like when they're winning the President's Trophy, they're the hottest thing in town. But when they're not, it's different, though. It's different. And that's kind of the way I view tonight, is like a celebration of the man that got the team there. And I think this is pretty freaking cool. And I think it's pretty special. And I told Dan Hamuse this, but you watch those videos about the 365 Fund, and you watch kind of the behind the scenes with Pekka and all the different things, and you almost think to yourself, like, man, like, this guy really is a good dude. And it's like that Perry Wallace thing I was talking about. Like, you want the guy who breaks the color barrier in the Southeastern Conference to be a good dude. You want that person to be somebody that for years and years people can look up to. You want that when you have when your kid's in the 5th grade and they're doing, some kind of study on like an important, significant figure, that it's somebody that not only, was a great athlete like Perry Wallace was, but it was also a great person and meant a lot to the community. And I think Pekka, again, maybe not, as far as social barriers being broken is concerned, had that kind of impact. But he did have that kind of impact on the city as far as hockey's concerned. And like in a couple of weeks, I'm doing some kind of, speaker series, something or another, with Sean Henry and some other people about hockey in Nashville. And I'm just not sure that it's at the level that it's at if it's not for Pekka. I'm just not sure UC Saros is the kind of player that he is if it's not for Pekka. I mean, and I also thought that Dan Hamuse did a great job kind of talking about when you go to the bench, when you get sat on the bench, it is not easy. And I will say this, one of my biggest criticisms of John Hines, his first year, that weird bubble year or whatever, was that he didn't go back to Pekka in the bubble series against Arizona. Saros was fine. He wasn't very good, but he was fine. They lose game 1. Okay, they win game 2. They lose game 3. And I was advocating you got to go back to Pekka. And at that point, Saros was a better player than Pekka. But I was advocating that they needed to do it because there was something about him that just made me think that they could win. And I think that's the way when you listen to Terry Crisp talk about him, or I think that's the way that those players felt about it. Even games they lost, as I talk about some of these great Pekka moments and stuff, even games they lost in the playoffs were ones where I'm like, man, did he really put up that performance? Game 6 against Dallas in 2019. I should have written these games down with like how many saves he made or something. But it was impressive. So that's what tonight, I guess, means to me. And talking to those guys, I thought was pretty cool about it. It's going to be a special celebration. We'll get to your phone, 615-737-1025. If you have a thought you want to get on tonight's ceremony, you can. Plus, Predators Game Day is coming up, 615-737-1025. We are live at Bridgestone Arena. Let me tell you about my friends and the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I absolutely love FanDuel Sportsbook. You use the promo code JGM. When you sign up, you can get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. That's right, FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JGM. I absolutely love those guys. And again, your first bet up to $1,000 back. FanDuel Sportsbook, it's so easy to bet. You get paid in as little as 2 hours. It is so, I love the fact that it's easy to use, it's easy to navigate, it's easy to register, it's easy to find your bet. They've got same-game parlays, so you can take a small bet and you can turn it into a big one. I mean, that is exactly what FanDuel is about. It is about winning big. You can create your own same-game parlay. You got multiple sports that you can bet on your parlay. Now, with the way that FanDuel's doing it. So you take a hockey game like tonight, you can bet that, and you can take a basketball game and make certain bets with a parlay. You can join the parlay market. You do whatever you want. It's FanDuel Sportsbook. It's America's #1 sportsbook app. It's America's #1 sportsbook app for a reason. And again, your first bet, risk-free, up to $1,000 back with the promo code JGM, so they know that I sent you. And of course, you can bet on the Stadium Series game as well, which is coming up. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issue is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobus. Rain finally ending after midnight, drying out overnight. Low temperatures back in the 20s once again. Highs for your Friday, stuck in the middle 40s. A cold, breezy day and a mainly cloudy day as well.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Need cash for that home improvement or want to finally be credit card debt free? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto can do it for you. Whether you have a VA loan or a conventional loan, they're helping local homeowners convert their home equity into cash with zero closing costs. Willie Donick here. Listen, your home value is up. Let Loan Pronto tap that equity and get you the cash you need. Pay off high-interest loans. Start that home remodeling project. Veteran homeowners are really loving this because with a VA loan, you can tap 100% of your home's equity. That's a ton of cash. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They are doing loans with APRs in the 2s. And if you call now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now to see what your options are. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good, really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless, now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
O'Reilly Auto Parts has what you need to keep your engine performing at its best. Our professional parts people will help you select the right products for your vehicle and your budget. Like 5 quarts of Castrol GTX conventional oil and a MicroGuard filter, just $28.99. Save money on your next oil change. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
1 win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curation CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Stillman and Company. Delivered by TriStar Moving.
Stillman and Company, we're live at Bridgestone Arena. We're 10 minutes away from Pekka Rinne's jersey being retired. I saw someone texted the text line, which is driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, and said that, well, Stephen Jones, one time called Troy Aikman an armchair quarterback. And so, maybe you don't have that power when you're that kind of player. Just ask yourself this question. And again, I'm sure Troy Aikman said something about the Cowboys. Stephen Jones didn't like it. He said that. Who do you think the side of the people were on? Troy or Jerry's kid?
Troy.
And notice it didn't come from Jerry.
No, it came from Stephen.
And Jerry has never had a hard time criticizing somebody, but he's not going to go after Troy Aikman.
And also, to be completely fair, an analyst's job essentially is to be an armchair quarterback.
It is.
You paid a lot of money to do it.
The point I make about the level of power that you have or the influence you have on your organization when you are an all-time great. No worries. The level of influence you have when you're an all-time great, it never goes away. Pekka Rinne's opinion will matter about the Predators whenever he wants it to matter. Now, he's not the kind of guy that's going to sit in there and say, that we need to fire the coach like Eric Dickerson said about Jeff Fisher. But there is that level that when he speaks on something, it matters. And you don't forget that. Other guys, they come and go. They'll be here, they'll be there, but not him. And so there's a lot of influence and responsibility. And you heard Crispy say earlier today, he thinks that, Pekka's not going to just sit around and be a dad all day. Perhaps he comes back to the organization in some role. I don't know. But it was interesting to hear that. I always hate, though, when you bring somebody back in a capacity like general manager or coach. Because, then the Green Bay Packers have to fire Bart Starr.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't like that.
But, I mean, to your point about Pekarine's influence over the team, it's also a very positive thing. I mean,
sure.
We've heard all day, I mean, throughout Pekka's career, that he had such a positive influence on the team, on the locker room, on the city. And he will continue to have that influence over the team and the franchise in the city because his jersey is being retired. He will forever be remembered, and his influence will forever be met. So, will be recognized. So, I think that's also a very positive thing as well.
Time now for Predators Game Day.
It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped, and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. Brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Tonight, the Nashville Predators take on the Dallas Stars here at Bridgestone Arena. We got to start with the coach's take. John Hines on Pekarine night.
I mean, it's a great day. We're the organization, the city, the fans. I think get to recognize one of the best people and players. That's played in Nashville, but not only in Nashville. I think in hockey. So it's something that I think you want to embrace. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity for Pekka and for the organization and the fans to recognize him one last time. And I think it's important for the players to enjoy it and listen to what's being said. Pex was in our room this morning, had a good message to the guys about his career and what it means to be a player, but also things when you retire, what you miss about certain things, and embrace that opportunity. And when it's time to, like this morning, we had a meeting, we had some time with Pekka. I thought we had a good practice. So when we were time to focus on business, we were ready for that. And I think enjoy the celebration when it goes on. But our players are well aware of getting themselves ready to go, and we worked with them on the schedule that they feel meeting wise and certain that will give them the best chance to make sure that they're ready to go. And obviously have a good Dallas team coming in, and everyone knows, how competitive the Central Division is. So I believe our players will be ready to go.
It should be noted when he talked about Pekka talking to the guys and his message, and that last year when things were not going good, and I believe it was Elliot Friedman had a report that was everybody except for Yossi, Rene, and Ellis was on the table in a trade. And I was like, whoa. Well, that's like big news. Like, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And so that day, they had a practice, and then they were flying out. They were doing a Zoom press conference. And I asked, the people that control that, I asked them, I said, hey, who is speaking today? And they were like, Colton Sissons. And no disrespect to Colton Sissons, but I was like, it'd be really important if we could get like a senior member of the team to talk, because, what's Colton Sissons going to say about a rumor like that? So I asked Pekka about the rumor, about the rumor that, everybody that they could tear this down. And as a veteran player, he was like, we can't worry about what other people say, but more importantly, I think we need to get it figured out internally. Like that it was about kind of like the sense of like, no, we know what we need to do. Mm-hmm. And I do think that he was probably one of the leaders of that message last year, even though he wasn't playing a lot. And then he had the game against Tampa Bay with everybody hurt, including Saros, that really got this thing turned around. So big one on the, by the way, big one for Predators Game Day tonight, because the Predators are 4 points up on Dallas. Dallas has a game in hand. That means you lose tonight. Dallas could essentially be caught up. So a big one tonight, but of course tonight they are honoring Pekarine, and of course, as are we. Coming up next, the pregame show, Darren McFarland is here. He is ready to rock and roll, bum wheel and all. And coming up next, though, he will take it from here for the Pekarine jersey retirement in its entirety. That